Counting up. All right, we're live, playing the traffic. Tonight, you have Ray Guarino from Motormouth Radio because Lewis Lee is at PRI. Hopefully, he'll be stopping in if he gets a quiet room to broadcast, call us out of. And Macroman Brian is the wingman tonight. Thank you, Brian, for stopping in. As always, this is your
no
home
problem.
too. And we have the great pleasure to have Claude Harris from the OG Detailer on with us tonight.
Right. Hey, gentlemen.
Claude, you're going to have to excuse me. I'm not familiar with your work. I know Lewis is. So let's start off by how about telling us who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
I am a professional detailer, and I have currently based in Los Angeles, California, kind of like on the outskirts of the city a little bit. Been detailing for about 30 years. Kind of started out in the trunk of my car as a mobile detailer. I had a 79 Caprice Classic, and I started off with a vacuum and some towels and a water hose, and off I went, kind of doing my thing. I started to get during that little trek. I started to get, actually before that, I was actually a single parent trying to find my way and what I wanted to do. And then my mom was helping me with the kids type of thing. And she was like, well, after pounding the cement and going to different job to job, finally she said, why don't you go to school? I wound up in City College, Long Beach City College. And one day I was walking past the counseling thing and I saw business. And I said, hey, I always wanted to own a business or run a business. So I looked at the page, and it was the first class was Introduction to Entrepreneurship. And the instructor said, a lot of businesses are start from hobbies. So I started thinking what do I like to do? Well, I've always been around cars when I was young. I grew up in New York, but was always around cars. I always was kind of like a car guy, gearhead. And so I went, when I came to California, I went to college for and got a degree in auto technology, and back then, we were able to jump on dynos and, fixing them up my own car and doing those type of things. So it was always exciting for me. And so then when I had, fast forward, I went to school and figured out that I wanted to try to make these cars look nice. So I started venturing out, and like I said, started in the trunk of my car. That led to me eventually getting a van and start doing it. And probably about 2 years into it, I figured out really fast that I was going to be a car washer, because I figured out really early that that's the bread and butter of what it is that you're doing. And I said, I don't know if I want to do that. I kind of want to detail cars one at a time. So I wound up getting a full-time job, and I built the business slow. And 30 years later, here I am. I'm still working my full-time job, but I'm about to retire. But it worked out. It wound up really working out once I looked at the industry and seeing how there was a lot of up and downs and guys were falling out. I was like, and I needed to have some kind of stability. So once I found a job that could, actually I got a night job, and I did the detailing during the day. And lo and behold, what I found out that there was so many benefits. One, I didn't put the wear and tear on my body. I pick and choose my clients. I was able to sharpen my skill set to the point where I can, like, the shop is close to probably about $100 an hour is my shop rate. And but I worked, doing it part-time for a long time. And eventually 2019, I moved into a shop, and now in just August of this year, we moved into a bigger shop because we outgrew that one. But during my whole journey of this 30 years, I've touched a lot of cars, and I've touched a lot of one-off hot rods. I did one of my favorite ones that I did a car for Bruce Myers. And I don't know if you guys know him. He is the co-founder of Peterson Museum.
Sure.
So I got called to do a car for him, and I didn't realize, of course, I always do my research when somebody calls, especially in the hot rod world. When somebody calls me to do a car, I always like to find out what the background and stuff was about the car. And I come to find out it was a car that was called the Nickel Roadster. And I was like, whoa, when I read it. And then I guess there was one guy, Don Spencer, and then there was another cat who had him. And so I did a little research on it. And so he was taking it to Pebble Beach because they had made, they were having the thing with the hot rods that were, the cars that were on hot rod car covers was one of the classes that they did at Pebble. And as you know, most of those cars are pre-war, but they decided to start having these roadsters, and I actually like put my hands on that car. And there's been a couple that went to the Grand Nationals. Wow. One of them was the Mulholland Speedster. I worked on that one. A lot of the cars that I got the chance to work on, a lot of cars that were built by Troy Ladd out in Hot Rods. So
Troy's a great guy.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he's awesome, man. When you go to the shop, it's like, yeah, when I go back there, man, it's like, hey. So I've kind of been actually, when I look at my career, I actually have I actually wound up cutting my teeth on hot rods, because even when I started in the beginning, I started doing a lot of cars for Boyd Cunnington. I met a friend of mine, and they were doing cars for Boyd. This is when Chip was like knee high to a pup, really. And I went over to the shop. These people asked me to come and give them a hand. The first thing they did was hand me a bottle of metal polish, and they said, "You see that bright work over there? That was my job. All I did was bright work on a lot of Boyds, a lot of Boyds hot rods." At the time, I didn't know, what I was doing. And come full circle, I basically, you can label me as a hot rod detailer, because that's where I got my beginnings, is mostly on hot rods. And that's where I got introduced to SEMA and the whole thing. But yeah, I've really been in the hot rod world now. I have I do a lot of daily drivers, some luxury cars, but those are the fun cars when I get the chance to work on those hot rods, those one-offs. Those are key. So
that's good. So here's our resident hot rod, Lewis Lee. You're booking some A-list guests, man. How you doing?
Hey, listen. When I met him at SEMA, what's up, OG? I met him at SEMA, man, and I was so impressed and at awe of his knowledge of the products. You know what I mean? And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, we gotta video this. So I had Tyler video us, because he was spitting fire. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm sorry I'm late. We're at PRI, and we got invited to an after party, so we went over there for a little bit just to show support, and then we came back to the Airbnb. So we just got here, me and my man Terry.
Look at that, with the Christmas tree.
Yeah, we got the Airbnb with the Christmas tree.
Wow,
nice.
We don't mess around. Yeah, we don't play. So sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, OG. Continue, man. You the man.
I just want to jump back a few sentences in your story. Where in New York are you from?
I'm from. I used to live in Brooklyn when I was young. Brooklyn. Okay. I grew up my teenage years. I grew up in Staten Island.
Oh, okay.
These years.
Well, I'm on the opposite side. I'm on Long Island.
Okay.
So
yeah, my wife. I recently got married in 2020, and she's from the Bronx.
Okay. Wow. We got the whole angle. We got triangulated the whole damn thing.
Yeah. I can definitely hear the accent.
Strong. You know what? I've been told you can't hide it. You can't try to hide it. It's really fun when I go out of town. But hey, you know what? With the accent comes the attitude. So it's like, if you don't like it, we don't have to talk.
That's it. Got to keep it moving, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've got a few questions. I don't want to jump around too much. I want to try to keep it with your timeline and so forth. But, when you started out and, and you said you liked it and it was a hobby type thing, but did it just start out accidentally? Like, just it was like instead of collecting bottle caps, bottles, was it just like, hey, I can make $20 to take care of this problem or this issue at the moment? And then did you just develop a relationship, or did you hang out on the same corner with people coming by to get the car washed? I mean, is that how you picked your spot and that was it? Or
Nah, it's I just went when I decided to, well, like I said, when I was wandering around trying to figure out what I was going to do, and to take care of my kid, and when I went back to school and when I saw the thing about business, that's what intrigued me, and that's when I said, since I had this opportunity, my mom, she was helping me out with the kids, and during this time, it was a rare thing for a father to be single parent. So, but once I figured out what I wanted to do, I knew it wanted to be something around cars, and I always liked to keep cars clean, and I just had that methodical thing about just waxing them and things like that. And then at the time, this was like in the late 80s, 89, 90s. The mobile thing was just really starting to come, where people were busy at work, and it was a low startup, and that was the other draw. I was like, look, all I gotta do is get a van, get some equipment, and bam, I'm out there and I'm outside working. I like working with my hands, and once I started seeing what the transformation was when I did a detail, then I was hooked. Once I saw, after I polished it, cleaned it, the carpets, the tires, and everything, and it was sitting there looking like a brand new car, I was hooked.
Yeah. No, the reason why I asked that is because, as you can tell, the Hey Macco man, I'm a tool, I drive around in a tool truck, and I have guys on the street, that work on cars. And I've had, over the 20 years of doing this, I've had guys where, they started, I literally have one guy that started out with a suitcase, and he was a young kid. He was like 14 years old, and he's doing body work, straightening a bumper, taking a dent out. And of course, he roamed around, and over the years, he'd stop by the truck and say, hey, how much for that hammer, or how much, and it's like, here you go, kid. I felt like Mean Joe Green when he threw the Coke at the kid, it's like, hey, and then here it is 20 years later, and you see him where he's got a place now, and and growing and working. And I just, like I said, I'm inspired by people that stick to it, the grit, as they call it, and the grind. And of course, being a tool guy over the years, do you now, are you still air powered, or are you plug-in power or battery powered when you're doing a car?
So now, because of the technology, and because I was mobile for a long time, I didn't use air tools because it just wasn't. They didn't have enough. The compressors weren't good enough to run around with air tools and things like that. And then plus, when you were mobile, you wanted to be light for the flight. You needed to have those tools that could get the job done, and without having a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I had a van that was like loaded with a lot of stuff, but because we needed all of these different things. But the air wasn't one of the things that we were trying to do. Now, when I moved into a shop in 2019, and guys are using air, and I'm going like, okay, but I'm used to plug-in still, and now it's battery, and the tools that they're making, the polishers and things with some of the companies like Flex and Rubik, when they're making the batteries just as good as the plugins, I'm thinking to myself, why do I? Yeah, there are some air tools, when it comes to sanders and things like that, that they're still using in the industry that work very efficiently, but they have electric that it's like, you know, for me to have a compressor and a whole bunch of noise when I don't really need it, it's kind of like it kind of passed me by type of a thing. But now even the mobile units, I see guys they're sticking compressors in there now. They're compressors in their things, and to me that's a lot because, you know, it just makes, for me, I wanted to work more efficient and have the tools that I needed to do to get the job done mobile with the least amount of tools. And because you could pack a whole, I mean, you got air tools, now you got air tools, you got electric tools, you got a compressor, you got a generator, you got, you know, and all of this stuff. And yeah, it could be a lot. So
yeah. And also, were you ever a clay bar kind of guy? Did you fall into that category, or are you just old school enough where it's you know, with the right rubbing compound or a little sandpaper, you know, or
no, I had to evolve with the technology. And so basically the clay bar basically is designed, a lot of people they have a misconception of what the clay bar is designed to do. It's basically, when they came out with that clay bar, it came out strictly to get the decontaminating off of the paint.
Right.
If you got overspray, if you got contaminations that stick onto the paint, basically that don't wash off, this abrasive, that's what it's made for. It takes you more time to do it with a machine than to have this clay bar, because it's designed to pull that stuff off of the surface of the paint, so you can go and do your paint correction or do whatever you need to do. It's like it's designed to pretty much, it's like, I explain it to some people and especially to women. I say, hey, it's like exfoliating your skin. So basically you're exposed, because the paint is the skin of the car. And so over the years, as the technology has changed and evolved, they figured out, hey, this is something that we need to, in the process, to help with that process. And like I said, a lot of people have a misconception because they say, you know, you hear a lot in the industry, oh, can you like clay and wax my car? And I'm going like, well, I need to clay your car anyway. It's part of the decontamination process. But some of the guys is like, no, I'm not gonna. You can't. It's like you wax a car. If you wash it and you don't decontaminate it, it's like putting wax on a dirty car.
Right, right.
So the whole process behind, that's one of my processes, is like every car that I get, if it's an older car, it's gonna get decontaminated, because we also do two kinds. We do the mechanical, which is the clay. But then it's also chemical to get the iron phosphorus out, because iron gets down in the pores of the paint. So basically, you're cleaning out the paint, you're exfoliating the paint before you decide to put a polisher on there, and you're going to clean this paint and then maybe coat it or whatever. So especially when the coatings came out. So you want to get this paint as clean and as fresh as possible. So when that thing gets to anchor down and hold on to the paint, you want to have good anchors, and the only way you're going to do that is if you have clean paint.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we happen to have our head decontaminator and exfoliator in the house right now, Terry Wilson.
What's up, gentlemen?
Terry?
What's happening? What's up, Claude? How y'all guys doing? Macko,
right.
Man. Let me tell you something, Macko, man. All right, I was listening to what you said. Right, I'm normally don't correct you, but I'm going to correct you. He didn't give the kid a Coke. He gave the kid his jersey.
Yeah, I know, but it was a Coke commercial. I mean, I'm just saying.
Right about that. Right. Because me and Joe Green was one of my steel curtain, man. That's my man.
Yeah, I know, but like I said, I've been fortunate enough, as long as I've been in business, and like I said, I've had many guys that, you know, like I said, start out, you know, literally on a street corner, and I got one, you know, another guy, you know, he's rented from place to place, and of course, you know, you get that following, and you can't all of a sudden go across town, because then you lose half, you know, half of your people aren't going to follow you. You know,
right.
They tell you that they love you, but as soon as they got to drive across town, it's a whole different story, you know.
5 minutes out the way, it's a whole different story. You're right. But I did like the story where you started off giving the guy a hammer, and next thing you know, he has a business. That's beautiful.
Yeah. But, like I said, I had the same problem when I was turning wrenches. I kept hearing, you should start your own business. You should start your own business. And I started thinking, I was like, well, I'm really busy at home. I got a lot of stuff going on. So I said, well, maybe I'll start gearing into that. And I'll never forget, I had a great customer, I did, her car, her husband, all 3 of her kids. And, it was a great rotation. I set them up on schedules. We took care of everything. And so when we started, when she kept saying, you need to start your own business, start your own business. So when I started and I said, well, starting my business, I'm giving you a deal because this is this extra income, but it's starting a business. I have these costs. And she's like, oh, I don't get the deal still. And I was like, well, I can't give everybody the deal because I have these costs, it costs money to rent a place. It costs electricity. And a lot of people were like, oh, well, it's just more convenient for me to run up to the gas station here and have the guy change my oil.
Yeah, you should start a business to give them to be free for them for life. That's what they were. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
And and of course, when I got into this was only going to be a 5 to 10 year thing supposedly, so that I could build up my tool equipment, have some cash because it's a cash cow business. And then, all of a sudden here, just, life happens, you got a couple kids, you got bigger bills, blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, it's 20 years later and you're like, man, so, but, I do have 4 or 5 detail shops that I go into and those guys buy, and I'm always interested in, their process of getting a car clean. It's funny, we can go to the store and buy Jay Leno wax and put it on and we can't see the difference or tell the difference, but you know what we really need to put on a car. It's just kind of like that clay bar thing, you can spend 5 days clay bar a fender out and you don't know what you're looking for. That's the problem. So,
hey, Claude, where are you located?
I'm located in LA.
Oh, you're in LA now because, like I heard, New York. I'm a New York guy. Me, Ray. Let's go. I'm Rockland. I'm upstate.
Okay.
So like I got a Z01 that needs a serious decontamination.
Yeah, I got a black Impala that needs a serious detailing too.
Hey, I might have to make a trip out there.
I'm gonna say we got to bring Claude back east, man. He's got to come get some good pizza and some good Italian.
Hey,
food.
Man, just say the word, man.
Right.
Hit him over some of the cannolis, hey, Frank. What's going on, right? Hit him over with the cannolis.
I got him. Yeah.
But no, if ever you come back, we went shopping.
You did?
Yeah, we can't never have too much milk.
Yeah.
And you got to see. This is what we do when we get together. We get milk and cookies.
There you go.
We party hard.
Left apart and we're home before 10.
Nice. So much for the tequila and tacos, right? We got milk and cookies.
That's it. Yeah. But it's got to be this cold milk. Hey, could you put this in the freezer? The freezer's got to be ice cold, man.
You got a little feedback there, Lewis.
Yeah, I'm trying to switch over to my computer. So I'll be in a minute.
Yeah.
Come on, tell us, we talk about this all the time. In your line, do you, and I would think that you would see this more than we do in what we do. Do you have the opportunity to see and help along and mentor and encourage younger guys or girls coming into that profession?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact,
I would think so.
Like I said, I've been in the game for 30 years, and all along I've always helped people. And I'm at the point now that I'm paying it forward with a lot of the young guys that are coming up. That's hence the OG name came,
Right.
because if you know anything, I'm not the original gangster. I like to say the original gentleman.
Okay, good.
But,
I like that.
Okay, original gentleman. But
Good.
basically, it came from growing up, especially like in places like New York and things like that. It was the OGs that used to keep the young guys straight, whether they did a bid or not. They were on the corner, but if they saw you going down the wrong path, they could tell you, "Hey, bro, hey, little bro, you don't want to do that."
Right.
And so that's what I've become for the industry, and that's how these guys look at me. They look at me as the OG. So so in talking, we make jokes. They told me one time, said, "Oh man, he's an OG, man. You're like Martin Luther King. You're like Malcolm X. You're like these." And I said, "Nah, man." I said, "You know who I am?" I said, "Dude, I'm Dr. J, man. I'm Dr. J, and you're LeBron and Kobe." Okay, and so I paved, and basically, I let a lot of them know that I paved the way. I was a frontier, because especially here, being on the West Coast and being with a lot of guys, it was like the car culture was huge, and there was not a lot of us in the car culture, and so I kind of made my way through that with making friendships and all along the way, and just carried myself with a lot of respect and integrity. And I was always friends with everybody. I mean, in the industry, you can go anywhere in the industry, and if you say my name, they're gonna know. And I'm talking, we have a lot of big guns, like people like Rennie Doyle. Some of these people, like Rennie Doyle, he's like the Don of detailing, and we all have good, solid relationships. But my business is now making the turn. Now I'm also doing trainings. I'm doing one-on-ones. And so the business is going more into consulting, and basically being able to share some of the things some of the mistakes and some of the bumps that I've made along the way in the industry. I'm able to share with the young guys, be able to help them develop their business and share with them. And I'm an open book, and I tell them all the time, there's nothing. When I was coming up, cats would grab a bottle and you ask them, "Hey, what's that in your bottle?" And they would like hide it, or they do this or they do that. They were kind of like secretive and everything. But now, because of the internet, and just there's a lot of people out there that are just sharing the information. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm really, looking to go to different places and do consulting and do training. And the thing that I think that I do a little bit more, and what I bring is I kind of try to make it a little bit more rounded, as far as like not just detailing. That's one aspect, but you have to think about life and think about what are you going to do. As a matter of fact, I'm looking to write a book, and it's going to be life after detailing. And it's going to be like, not after detailing, not after you come home that day and you finish. I'm talking life after detailing, because a lot of times people, they don't think about these things when they get into a business. They just run, especially in this business. They're running, they're making a lot, they think they're making a lot of money, and they're just at the end, when they're finished, they get to my age. A lot of them don't get to my age and be able to still bend down and do a car. Well, I'm fortunate enough but because I did the business part-time, I didn't put the wear and tear on my body. So, and I've always remained teachable. That's one of my mantras, is remain teachable. Yeah. Always remain teachable, especially in this business. You get some guys, you got a lot of guys with ego, and they're thinking, I'm the best polisher out there. I'm this, I'm the hot dog of this. And it's like, no, you need to remain teachable. I could probably learn something from a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old can go up to a car with a wheel brush and do it a certain way, and I can look at it and go like, wow, I might have been doing that the wrong way, because but if I don't have that open mind, I could miss out on the opportunity to learn something, to better myself and to better my skills. So that's what I'm doing now, is just really pouring back into, and just when I see the young guys, even when I'm at SEMA, I'm always like, hey, take my number if you ever want to talk to me. And that's kind of where I'm at.
That's great. Now, yeah. I know, I'm not a detailer. I'm not a body guy. I play with wrenches, but I do know that from the early days where you had, your Simonized number 7, and like a couple of rags, the amount of product out there now is daunting. How do you keep up with all the new stuff and the different brands and knowing what's worth using and what's a copy of something else, and how do you keep it all in line in your profession?
So basically, once you start to learn about the products, you'll know, like, okay, there's something in different products, and I guess you guys can know this too with certain tools. They come out with a bunch of tools with different swivels and all this other kind of stuff, and it becomes to be like a preference. I mean, still to this day, I still have a garage at home that I have like 2 shelves of stuff, because I open it up, I try it, junk, put it over here. It's one of those things. But once you start kind of going through that, then you'll know, okay, then you start to learn the makeup of a lot of these chemicals. So they only have so many blenders. So most of the products are whatever. You start to get those products that this company, like for instance, I'll say a name like Sonex or McGuire's. You start using McGuire's, and what you find out too is like not every product works for you. You might find 1 or 2 that work for you, and that's how it is. And they'll do 1 thing or 2 things good, but the rest of it is kind of like the same thing. Well, it's kind of like a trial and error. Mm-hmm. And so, like, even to this day, I'll get something and try it. And if I'm trying like a new compound and it's going like, okay, well, that's okay. Well, maybe it dries out too fast, or maybe it doesn't cut the way that I need it. Then, like, well, that's not really a product that I'm going to either use or try. So.
Do you seek out new stuff, or are you kind of happy with the stuff that's...
Oh, no, always. Because this thing is like, it changes like the computers. Every day, somebody is developing something, especially with the chemicals, like when they came out with the ceramic coating, it just, the technology is off the roof. When they went to nanotechnology, that changed the industry, totally changed the industry, because products were working so much better because of this scientific thing, that every day somebody's developing something. They're making tools. Like now, like I said, they're making all the tools that they're battery operated. And they got tools that they got a couple of little small polishers that look like a toothbrush. And you can get, put a little 1-inch thing on there, and you can get in there like a surgeon. So, but the tools are beyond, like, with the technology, the tools are just off the chain.
Yeah. Have you been able, and also, I guess when they went to waterborne paint too. Yes. When they changed from lacquer to Emeron to, and of course you've gone through the span, because, the paint during the late 80s on GM cars were garbage. You just looked at it and it fell off, and early 90s. But so that I guess with that technology, something might worked on something 5 years ago, but today it's a whole different animal, especially with pearls and anything like that. I guess that's it's a evolving, learning, all the time.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, and you have to, like, I had the opportunity, like I said, I came up doing hot rods. So I did a lot of repaints. So I was able to dab into those different. I actually worked for a builder. I worked for a body shop. During my whole career, I did it in like little sections. I was like, oh, come and help us over here. So I go and help a guy for like 3 months. And I remember working in one guy, he was a builder, and I was sanding and doing a lot of the blocking. And in about 3 months, I walked away with my fingerprints were gone. Yeah. I never experienced that. And they hurt. Literally, I rubbed away my fingerprint from all the sanding that I was doing. But I learned about blocking, I learned about sanding, I learned about paint and the differences like that. And it helped me in building in my career is I'll be able to figure out, and like you said, transitioning into now, because now the water-based paints now, all the technology with the products that they're using for the compounds and the abrasives and things, they're all built, and the machines are all built around these water-based paints to be able to. And I tell guys all the time, the bottom line, I said, everything that I've learned when I'm working on somebody's car, especially if it's a new car, not a repaint, but a new car, I said, everything that I've learned is my job as a professional to make your car look the best it can look with taking the least amount of paint off of it.
Yeah.
That's my job. So some of these guys that, oh man, I wet sand. That's all I cut and I wet sand. I do all this kind of stuff. I say, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but you can't make a lot of money doing that because nobody's going to pay you $2,000 to color sand their hot rod. You know, there are out there, and there's guys that have that niche that all they do is stuff like that. But when it comes to just making money, it's the new cars, it's the newer cars because they're in and out. And I found that out quick once I opened up a shop, and I needed to get the cars in there that was going to pay the bills. And, but yeah, so learning those paints and learning the machines that are all built around there. But I tell them my job all the time, because sometimes people will come in because now they know some of the talk, and they say, "Oh, I need to get a paint correction." I'm going like, "Okay, what year is your car?" "No, it's a 2022." And I'm going like, "You don't need a paint correction." I still struggle with that word, and I still do. It's like, are we really correcting the paint? And it's like, it's kind of like I tell them when they come in, I say, you know what? It's a fancy word for taking the scratches out of your car.
Yeah,
it's a fancy word. It's one of those industry words, but it's like, yeah, I think I need a paint correction, and I go out and look, and I'll see a couple of little spider webbing, very light. I'm going like, oh no, you don't need a paint correction. You need what they call an enhancement. Now the buzzword is enhancement. It's enhancement, but basically it's just a light polish just to knock down some of those scratches, and the cars looks nice and shiny, and we protect it and out the door.
So in your business now, have you is it just fully detailing? I know you probably do some ceramic coating or that type of thing, but I have a few places that do detailing, and they also get into window tinting and stuff like that. Did you ever venture into that, or was it just one of these things that you just wanted to play with water and bubbles?
I just wanted to play with water and bubbles. And I did. And even now that one of the things that kept my business, because now I'm basically doing detailing, and I'm doing ceramic coating. That's my focus. Basically, I named the shop the Coating Studio because I saw when the coatings were starting to come, and then I had to make the decision. It's like, am I going to get on board with this? And then I wrestled with it for a little while because I was doing the detailing, but like I said, I was doing it part-time. So I was making money. The money that I was making was actually putting back in the business. So I was okay with doing that. And that was the difference between being mobile and your overhead being low as opposed to getting a shop. Right. Now, when you get the shop and then these guys get the overhead, that's where the window tinting, the PPF, they got to do all these things. And I said, I didn't want to do that. So that was another benefit for me keeping a full-time job, is I didn't have to jump on board to get all these. I didn't have to have all these things. I could make my thing. One, it's still a passion because I do one car at a time. I'm about to expand. Once I retire, I'm going to be here full-time. I'm going to get somebody helping me, and we're going to just scale the business. But up until then, I could make enough money to take care of my little thing, and I could still keep it a passion, because once it starts, you get 10 employees and they're running around and you're trying to make all this money. I don't see how that's a passion when you got 6 black cars that you got to knock out because people want their cars. It's not that way. And the thing is, the way the shop is now, when people come in, they still catch that passion. They catch the 30 years, but they get the passion of the art. It's still an art to me, and it's still a passion. And I want to keep that. Even when I decide to expand a little bit, I might get one person to help me, but it's going to be strictly detailing and the coatings, and I'm going to leave the rest of it alone.
Yeah. So basically, you're a one-man show. You don't have any employees other than and so you're not doing any of the mobile at all anywhere. So you're
and I'm kind of when it comes to the mobile, I still have my rig, but and I'm finding a use for it. At first, it was hard because I couldn't leave the shop to go wash somebody's car. Because basically the people would ask me, "Oh, do you wash cars?" I'm going like, "Yeah, it's for $100," and they're going like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah, it costs $100 for me to come out, leave my shop, to come to your place, to with 30 years of experience, I can't even look at your car for under $100." So, but now I'm starting to find out that we're starting to incorporate more maintenance service, especially with the coatings, because now people are leaving and they don't have anybody to maintain the coating, because you have to maintain the coating. Right. If you don't maintain it, you've wasted that $1,000. You might as well flush it down the toilet, because if the first couple of times you run it through a car wash, it's a wrap. So now people are like, "Oh, how do I take care of it?" So now we're setting up to where we have DIY products. Then we also going to have maintenance services that if they have them make an appointment, by appointment, and also pay in advance. And I said, now I told them I'll come out for the local people. I'm going to do like once a month and then every 90 days. And then I basically will either come to you or you come to me. But it's necessary because more and more clients, when they leave here, they don't have anybody. A lot of the local, and I try to tell them, "Hey, do you have your local guy that comes out and washes your car?" I said, as long as he knows that it has a coating on there, you could be in good luck. He should know, if he's up on his game, he should know, "Oh, I got to use certain products, or I have to treat it a certain way in order to maintain it." So, but I'm finding more and more that a lot of my customers, they'll say, "Well, I'll pay you to come out." And it's like, so that being, like I said, when I'm getting ready to expand and having somebody here, I can have somebody here at the shop, and then I can go out to maintenance, or vice versa. So it's starting to, once I start to scale, I'm going to probably and I talked to somebody too, and it made sense because like I had another friend of mine, another fellow detailer, and he's been doing a lot of coatings. And, like typically with the coatings, there's 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 7, there's all these different years, right? So we would coat a car and say, okay, well, the only thing they told you is like, oh, every year you need to come in to keep the warranty void, keep it going, right? So, okay, I'll see you next year. Well, one of my buddies that has a shop, he started to realize that not everybody was coming back. And if you don't do the right follow-up and things, right, he was like, wait a minute, come back in a year. And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? I haven't had a lot of people come back during the time. They just kind of like, they figure, oh, my car's coated, it's good. So that's when he started doing, he said, nah, man, we need to get these people in the shop on a regular basis. Maybe we can upsell them on some interior work, whatever. But not only that, we can get and maintain the coating because, hey, they done spent $1,000, $1,500 on this coating. It'd be smart for you to try to maintain it for them. And,
right.
So.
Yeah, no, I remember when the coating first came out, it was like you coat it and it was supposed to be preserved forever. I mean, that's, that was like the original first sale. And,
right.
It's like you said, people, all of a sudden they figured, oh, it's coated, it's protected from, all the bird crap
right.
and everything else and the road and the sand, and it's like, not really, dude.
Right.
It really takes it has to be maintained. I mean, it's a system.
Yeah. And what I do now with all of my customers, I educate them to the hilt. Yeah. I tell them, I was like, look, it is not indestructible. It's scratch resistant, not scratch proof. I'd be up front with them. I said, but you're gonna love it. It has like a self-cleaning property. Stuff is gonna not be, it's not gonna stick to it as much. I said, but if you get bird dropping, you still need to take it off. I said, the benefit is that it's not gonna start deteriorating your clear coat. It's gonna be working on the coating,
right,
and not the clear coat. But you still got to get it off. Hard water, same thing. They think, oh, I get hard water all the time. I say, yeah, that hard water, that's a mineral. It's gonna break down anything. The stuff is lethal, especially here in California. So I told him, I said, nah, you don't want to, it'll come off a lot easier, but you get some hard water spots on there. You want to make sure you kind of get that stuff off as soon as you can, or, bring it back to me. I can help you out. We can do a little chemical clean on it, kind of get it done. But they definitely, I educate them to the hilt. I said, you got to maintain it, but it's going to look good. Every time you wash it, if you maintain it and keep it healthy, every time you wash it, you dry it, and you go. That's it. There's no polishing, there's no waxing. You can enjoy your ride.
Right.
So that's
we have that for our toolboxes. We have a coating to put on the toolboxes, and I got guys that will buy it and do it. And again, they think now it's indestructible. They could spill the gasoline or the oil gets on it or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you got to, this has got to be done in a 6-month time or whatever. This thing has to be cleaned, and it's, like you said, it's great for the investment, but like everything else, you got to keep that investment. You got to keep putting into it to get the full benefit.
Yeah.
Now, I got a question on. Well, we had talked about this at SEMA, that the new products are starting to become DIY friendly. Can you give a little bit of insight on that?
So with the chemicals, and even with a lot of the bigger companies, like people, like for instance, like McGuire's, they have their DIY stuff, over the counter stuff, and then they have their professional stuff, because there's people still out there that want to do their own cars. They want to have maybe like a ceramic protection on their car. So they're developing products that you can still use on your car, but not really get in trouble, especially when it comes to a ceramic coating. So, a lot of the ceramic coatings that they have, that's what I call OTC, or over the counter. They have the ceramic property in them, but it's very little. So it could be anywhere from 1%. If you have 1% of the SiO2 silica in a bottle, it's a ceramic spray. And so people think, oh, well, I'm going to ceramic coat my car. I'm going like, yeah, but it's probably going to last for about 6 months, 9 months, depending on the product. But I mean, if you're somebody who wants to go out there and kind of play like that, I mean, after you've done the car like 3 or 4 times over the summer, yeah, you can have a nice little protection on there, and they could be happy with that. And or sometimes it's a show car. They take it out on Saturdays or Sundays, and they want to have some kind of spray where they can kind of put it on there and take care of it themselves. Not everything has to be at the level of the professional level. So a lot of those companies, they see that, so they don't want to gear it all just to the professionals. The ones that are smart will have their professional grade, but then making it so they can actually do something like, because the ceramics, especially when they first came out, it was like, oh, dude, this is like a professional product. You can't get this in the hands of somebody who know what they're doing. But as they started to develop it and make it to where it's easy to apply, but also has some kind of durability, maybe not as high as the professional grade, some people like that, and some people will use it, and so that's.
Is that consumer grade more cost effective too? Is it priced less? Is basically what I'm asking.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, because when you have like a professional grade product, it might be anywhere from 70 to 80% solid. And then the rest is whatever carriers they use. Well, something that's 70, 80% is not going to be easy to put on and take off. And that's where people can get in trouble. But if you got something that's got 5%, 10%, still going to be good, but it might last maybe a year if it's taken care of, if it's in the garage and things like that. So of course, it's going to be more tailored to the consumer products.
Right.
Now, Claude, I have a question for you. So you may have already talked about this. I'm a kind of a late arrival, but when you are doing the DIY route and you're applying this product and you're maintaining it throughout the year, at the end of that cycle, are you supposed to like strip back down to the clear coat and start over, or do you just keep building and building as a DIY person?
You just keep building, unless you just keep building, because depending on the strength of the product, the thing that makes the ceramic diminish is abrasive. So bad toweling, car washing, those are the things, basically, because the only way that you can get a ceramic off, even a professional grade ceramic, is by compounding it. And I've even had to sand some off. And that's when I found out that this stuff is legit, because I had a guy, he had a Challenger that I did, and he had some stripes on it, and he was like, and I was using Ceramic Pro, which is a very high-end product, and he wanted 4 layers, so he wanted the most protection. And so I said, okay, you want me to go over the stripes? He said, yeah. So I did it, and sure enough, about 2 months later, he comes back, I want to take the stripes off. Like, okay, no problem. But that means that I'm gonna have to take down, it was on the hood, the roof, and the trunk lid. And it was like one solid, and man, I got to compounding, and then I put the light, and I could see light shadow, and I was like, wow. So then I had to bust out, I think I bust out some 1,500, 2,000, started sanding, looked down, still seeing, and now I got the paint gauge, because hey, it's a Dodge, and I don't know, man. It was like they was like, I forgot what year it was. It might have been like 2013, 2014 or something. So I was like checking the paint, and eventually I just had to, naked eye, they wouldn't see it, but I saw a very, 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 very thin shadow of the coating still on the paint. Mm-hmm. And then that's when they say it's scientific and it goes it bonds on a molecular structure, that it changed my mind. I was like, okay, this is going down into the pores, and it's cementing and grabbing and holding onto the paint. So I say that to say, yeah, if you're DIYing it, you can go out, you just keep putting stuff. It's not, you're gonna be fine. Taking it all the way down, I feel that's only like a one-time thing. When you're like, if you get the car and you clean it, and you like I was telling them earlier about decontaminating it and doing all that stuff, if you do that like the first time you get the car, and then you start putting your stuff on, you'll be golden. As long as you do that first application that you put on, that you have a clean finish, you'll be golden.
No, I missed that part when you were talking about decontaminating. I would like to do that to my motorcycle. So what would be my first step? Would I wet sand it, bring it down to clear, or what would be the...
No. So basically so you have two kinds of contaminants. You have above the surface contaminants, that, the fallout, overspray, all of that stuff. And then you have the metal particles, or the ferrous. Those tend to go a little bit more into the paint and into the pores because it's so fine. So basically, whenever I do a decontamination, I do a chemical and then I do a mechanical. So the mechanical is really not going to pull the metal out like the chemical one will. So you know how they have these products that turn purple when you put it on the car? Well, that's basically breaking down the metal ferrous that's in the paint or attach itself to the paint. And then the stuff on the top is like when you touch it, and if you get a cellophane bag or something and you rub it and you hear that sound like sandpaper, that's the stuff that's sitting on the top. So the clay, because it's abrasive, once it rolls on top of there, it's taking off the contaminants on the top. You do a chemical breakdown. Once you do that, it's like exfoliating the skin. You done got pores are nice and clean and ready. Now it's ready to do whatever polishing you need to do. And then you strip it, with your alcohol or whatever you cleaner you have that you do that with. And then now you got this clean paint that's like open pores, like like you just exfoliated in the shower, and now you got that lotion on, and that's basically what you have to do.
Okay. I had a question. I wanted to go back to the toweling. If you could find a real diaper, is a diaper still like the ultimate, or these terry cloth? And when you're looking at terry cloth, because I've looked at several different ones, you got super cheap and you got super expensive, but what's the difference in material? Is it the product or the material in that?
So diapers are definitely obsolete. Terry cloth towels are almost obsolete. They do have a place, and it's usually maybe when you're doing some metal polishing or something like that, but definitely not for the paint. So the thing that changed the industry was microfiber towels. They totally changed the whole industry when they made the microfiber towels. Now they have very cheap ones, and then they have very expensive ones. So I use a combination of both, because for the wheels and tires and things like that, I'm not going to use my expensive microfiber towel that I'm going to be touching paint with, or a car that I just spent 15 hours paint correcting, and then I pick up a Costco towel and scratch my paint because of the cheaper fibers that are made from the microfiber towel. So there's definitely a difference.
My dad was a diaper guy, so I have a whole bunch of diapers. I mean, they were probably mine when I was a little guy. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny though, because like you said, diapers are, it's like going to find a diaper is like obsolete. But
take your diapers, you sew a few together, you got a car cover.
Yeah, well, come on now. Back then I was a little guy. Come on now, right?
Yeah.
But
baby pictures.
Yeah. So,
right.
But like I said, I was.
It's not even after 10 o'clock yet, and we're going there. Look at this.
I know. It's terrible, but no. But I find that trying to find the right towel or the right rag. I don't want to use the word rag, but you know what I'm saying. That's what drives me crazy, because I can spend a couple hours polishing a wheel or a piece of aluminum, and it seems like, all I gotta do is just one more wipe, and all of a sudden you pick something up and you're like, oh man, look what the hell I just did.
We had somebody on the show here maybe a month or so ago. I remember we were talking about this exact subject, the microfiber cloth. And I know I told him at the shop that I work at, the primary business is a body shop. So there is a body guy working next to me. I'm working on mechanical stuff and he's making dust. But they buy microfiber rags that, I've never seen them before like that. They get them from some commercial source for the body guys to use when they detail. And I have a couple here. They are different. You can feel the weight.
Yes.
There's no. It doesn't have a hemmed edge. Like there's nothing nothing that could scratch. And I don't know what they pay for, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
No, they're like usually when you get to those kind of towels, they're anywhere from $5 to $6 to $7 per towel.
Yeah.
Now, what's your stance on washing rags that you use on the final finish?
So I keep everything separate. Everything stays whatever I use on the wheel.
Yeah, like different stages. You keep them all separate.
I keep them separate. I wash them separately, and because you can get a lot of uses out of them, and that's the other thing about the microfiber. You can get a lot of uses out of them, but you got to keep them separate because if you cross contaminate, and then you got your towel that you thought was a good window towel, and now it still has some kind of grease or something that you picked up. Now you're going to be streaking. Wow, the windows keep streaking. Yeah, that's because you washed it. You didn't keep it separate.
Or the detailer's swear word, silicone.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I did look it up, Tyler, because I have a collection of the microfiber rigs I use for different things. And I actually looked up how to wash them, and I have the recipe somewhere. I thought I had it here, but I think I put it by the wash machine. And there is this very specific, I think it's washing powder you have to use, not soap, not detergent, because they don't want any other things introduced onto that towel. So they do have a procedure.
And they also have the other thing too is with the microfibers, they're designed to grab, and that's what they'll say. They'll tell you not to wash it with fabric softener. You might as well throw them away once you do that because it's going to grab and stuff like that. They've developed products that are specifically for cleaning microfibers and things like that because people tend to forget that it's still plastic. It's plastic, so you don't want to get them too hot. And there's just certain things that you kind of want to do, but it's a wonderful towel because being that it's plastic, it releases everything. So like anytime if you notice, like when you use one sometime, and if you wash it out right then and there, 90% of that stuff is coming out of that towel because it's plastic, it's not cotton, and cotton tends to hold. So,
how about chamois? I mean, is that still such a thing?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually still use one. I like them. I like them, but I'll bounce between depending on what I'm doing to the car. If it's a car that's coming in for a coating and I'm working on it for the first time, I might, depending on how I feel, I'm outside, the sun is out, and I want to keep wringing that thing out, I'll do it. But if somebody comes in for a maintenance on a coated car, a lot of times I'll break. They have microfibers that are designed for drying, but a lot of times I'll even blow dry it because of the properties of the coating. The best thing for me to do is the least amount of times that I can touch that with a towel or anything, I could resist scratching it. So a lot of times they come in, I'll do a traditional wash and a lot of guys will foam and do all that stuff. But once it's time to get that water off, they're breaking out their leaf blowers and all of that stuff. And basically you can get 90% of the water off of the car without even touching it. And that's basically the best way to do it, especially when it's coated. Because even some microfiber towels will scratch the finish. And if the paint's very soft, I mean, you can blow on it and scratch it, especially a lot of the blacks and things like that, the non-metallic blacks. You can literally blow on it and you can scratch it. So
since you mentioned it, Claude, what's your thought on the foam cannons, the foam guns?
Very popular. That was my next. I was going to let him take a breather there, Ray.
Well, look, Brian, listen, you trumped me on 7 questions in a row, and I've been sitting here patient, being a good boy, keep my mouth shut. And I said, you know what? Screw you, Brian. Now it's my turn. All right.
Hey, I'm sorry. I drive around in a tool truck all by myself and nobody to talk to. So now I got a whole audience here. So listen, sit back and listen to me, please.
You can always call. We'll talk to you on the phone. We'll keep you company. You know that. We do that. We play nice.
Yeah. So the foam cannons, I didn't get to use them as much because they started to evolve a little bit more when I got into the shop. But they're really good. I think they started out kind of like a show thing, kind of like air out and foam in the car and all of that. Yes, there is some validity to it being safer for the paint because the products that are in there, once you foam it, some of the dirt is lifting off, it's running down, and so on and so forth, right? And they're making them now that are ceramic based, and it's a whole thing. So now you're putting some extra protection on your car when you're foaming it. But my only thing that I have against, and especially the guys that are doing it, and I notice this all the time when I see guys doing it and they're on Instagram and they're foaming their cars. If you ever notice, they'll take a car that's dry, right? They start foaming, right? They foam the whole car, they foam the wheels, they do all that stuff. Then they'll take their wash media and start going down the side of the car. And okay, all of that contaminants is in that mitt. They didn't run off the car. They're on your mitt. Now you're transferring that. You're potentially scratching the car. Some of them don't even clean the wheels. I'm going like, so I'm a traditional car washer. I wash the wheels. I do the wheels, the tire, all the rocker panels, the lower bumpers in the front, all in the side, up to a certain part of the car. And then I come back with my bucket and my whatever soap, and then I start to washing and do my thing, dry, go. I still do it to this day. I'm not a fan of it. I think that the guys, they're out there foaming and they're making it snow in California and all that kind of stuff. But when I start seeing them grabbing them wash mitts and not cleaning the bottom of those cars, they're not. That's letting me know that they really don't know what they're doing, because that dirt and the contaminants are getting in that mitt, and and that's where the 2-bucket method and all of that kind of stuff. I'm okay with the 2-bucket method, but when I'm doing my traditional wash, you know what I do? I still use a bucket, and I'll have a grit guard for the dirt, but every time before I put that mitt in the bucket, I rinse it. Put it in the bucket with my soap, right? I don't have to have another bucket to duck in the thing and do that. And oh, you know what? I use 3 buckets. I'm going, okay, by the time I do that, I could be having the car like finished, dude. You're adding all this time. You just got to get the car clean. It's not that serious. It's not rocket science.
So this is why California has a water shortage. I got it now. I'm figuring it out. All right.
Now, when you clean your mitt, you set it on the ground and then you hose it off?
What's that?
I said when you clean your mitt, you set it on the driveway and then you hose it off. And
throw it in the bushes.
Right.
Hey, there's like, this is it's so funny that we talking about that, because in California now, I really, when I was mobile, I had built, when I decided to I had kind of fell off from what I was doing. And then when I got ready to ramp back up, I was, I wanted to make my unit compliant. So I basically put in my van a low pressure system. I didn't put the high pressure system, water going everywhere, because it's like, look, they're kind of, especially here, Southern California, Long Beach, I'm close to the beach, I'm close to the water, and they don't want, the stuff is going down into the ocean, right? So I got a low pressure system, and it may be like 65 PSI. It's almost like a spring shower. And so what I did with that system is I would sprinkle on there, no runoff, and then I would use ONR, which is optimum no rinse, or a waterless product, in combination with that little bit of water that was going on. And that's how I used to wash my cars. And I'm a fan of the waterless products. But it's very interesting, because now a lot of these companies are building these units, especially out here, but they're building these guys' vans. They're charging these guys, and this is another one of my little pet peeves. So they're getting these guys set up with this awesome system, and they got generator, they got air compressors, they got the whole 9, but they're not letting them know, especially in California, that there's a compliance that you're supposed to retain your water. You're not supposed to let it run off. And these guys are going in there and they're spending $6,000-$7,000 for these guys to deck these vans out. They're not showing them how to do that. And I think that it's going to eventually catch up, especially with the droughts, especially with the water thing. These people, I mean, it was known, like it used to be, watch out for the zone guys. The zone guys come around, it's a hefty fine. It's $1,000 the first time. And I've even had a friend, not a friend of mine, but another fellow detailer that was in Orange County. So Orange County, San Diego, they're really heavy on it. He got his whole outfit. They confiscated it, and he was paying like $40,000 because he would go out, they would find him, and he would come back the next week and just was out there, just water everywhere. He didn't care. And after like the third time, they took his trailer, they took his rig, and it wound up costing him like $40,000 before he got it back.
Yeah, we have that issue around here. You know, a lot of my body shops, when they got done with the body of, doing the car, then of course they, get the car cleaned up for the customer. Being outside, we could no longer have that because of water runoff and going into the bay and so forth. And I'm in the Bay Area. We have the Chesapeake Bay, but we're in that zone area that, whatever 50-mile range of how the water travels. And that was a big deal. Then a lot of these guys had to move inside, which, they didn't have a place for, or it took space, or where, they were making the real money took away from and so forth. But that's once you get government involved in all our stuff, it doesn't help. But we won't go there yet. That's a little later in the show.
Yeah, we'll be there in about an hour.
Yeah, but I was also really intrigued or wondering. It's funny. We have my wife has a guy that comes out and does her car, and he's got this big tank of water, and he talks about having what is that called? I can't remember what the name was because I asked him, but it was
deionized.
The anti-dot or anti-spotting, or what is that? What? How does that work?
Deionized water. So basically, some people they take the minerals out of the water.
Oh,
so it's deionized water. They take the minerals out of the water. So now it makes it, because the minerals is what makes it spot. So they either do deionized or reverse osmosis.
I bought a car wash gun years ago. I think it was made by Mr. Clean, and it would produce deionized water. You put a cartridge in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it really worked or not. I used it for a bunch of years, and then I couldn't find the cartridges. So.
Yeah.
Is that a filter, a chemical, or hocus pocus?
No,
it's a filter, and I think it might be like charcoal, or I'm not even sure.
It's a chemical and a filter. Yes, it's both.
Yeah, and it's so a lot of times the guys that have the big tanks, they usually have to go to a detail outlet or spot, and they have these huge tanks, and they just sell them the water.
So I can't run down to the grocery store and buy distilled water or whatever and do that. Is that not the same?
Yes, you can.
And that's what I want to find out too, because I know I use distilled water for a lot of things, like for cooling systems,
right?
And add to batteries, and when I make my record cleaning solution. And I remember when I was a kid, my mom always used to iron the clothes, and she had a device that would make distilled water for the iron so that it wouldn't, clog it up. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. And I was searching for something now, and I couldn't find it. But maybe I got to start going to thrift shops. But, you can do it at home. They do it professionally, which is, a big to do. But there's got to be something for home use.
No, they do. They have like some of the water softening systems that they have that you can get your whole house like wired and have filtrated water, which is kind of like the same thing. And they also make small units for guys that want to put it in their garage. They can have a little small system, and then also have a little pressure washer. A lot of them now, they use an electric pressure washer, and they got 100-foot of hose, and they pull it out, and they can just do their thing and wrap it up. And the water that gets filtered through there is DI water.
Good to know.
So the distilled water, you could use that for that. And it's not, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can actually, like, sometimes what people will do is they'll use the pump up sprayers from the gardeners.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a bunch of
Right.
distilled water, put that in there, and then if you have you find your favorite like waterless product, because usually the waterless products, one of the chemicals they have in there is that it encapsulates the dirt. So once you spray it on, not only is it making it wet, but it's actually encapsulating the dirt, and that's what kind of keeps them. When you get a good one, that keeps it from scratching, because once you use your towel and you come by and it's softened up, the surface is softened up, and it's encapsulating the dirt, you're pretty much pulling it off. When you're wiping it with a towel, you're pulling off that dirt, and that's where a lot of the waterless car washes are based, with that encapsulation type thing. So if you got a pump sprayer, you put a couple of caps in there with some water, you'll be good to go.
Okay. Now you got me intrigued on the pump sprayer, but I got to ask you a question here, and you can deny and take the fifth. But how many wet T-shirt contests have you had on your car wash detailing?
Yeah.
Well, it's after hours. We're getting to the dirty stuff now, bud.
Oh,
I want to know about the wet T-shirt contest.
I don't know. I never dove into that because I really didn't have the time, and I wasn't out there trying to do car washing, and I didn't do a lot of like car washing for raising funds and all that kind of stuff. So,
because being the OG, I had this. I mean, I got like the car wash song playing in my head right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And man, I'm telling you, I'm ready to get down and dirty and play with some bubbles. So you got me going here. So I just wanted to know if I change careers and if there's a following of wet T-shirt contest.
You gotta pick your hair out though. Get your afro going.
I can get it going. Don't worry. I got some pictures. Don't worry.
Brian, I think we got a place for you in the tapioca pool.
You about to break out with the platform shoes too, there, Brian?
Well, not the
tapioca.
Man,
I tell you, man. For the last, 15, 20 minutes, man, I got that car wash song going through my head. So, boy, I tell you, I'm going to be really clean tonight. I think I'm going to pump the distilled water through the shower tonight.
There you go.
I have it coming. I'm going to be affoliated, like you said.
Boy.
Nice. Hey, I tell you what, man, we really appreciate your knowledge on this stuff. I mean, I never thought about rinsing my rag off before I hit the car again. You know what I mean? That right there is a blessing to know that.
One of the things I've been using for a long time, and please correct me if it's not the right thing to use, is I bought a horsehair brush.
Okay.
And that's what I washed the car with, is a horsehair brush. I like it. It's very soft, and that's, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have a mix too.
It's actually not bad. Horsehair is actually not it's not bad.
Okay. Good. It was expensive.
Yeah.
Damn thing cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Well, like Ray was saying,
as long as you're not trying to do it too dry.
No, very wet.
You got some lubricant, some soap and stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'd be all right.
Like Ray was saying, about like the horsehair brush, and my father and his diaper. It's funny how you have these the myths or the old school stuff, and then you're like, this new product comes along, and you're like, well, is it really that much better, or are they just putting a new cover on an old subject, that type of thing, or a new cover on a book,
Well, I think with a lot of the products, it's like anything else. When they there's a lot of technology, even in a microfiber towel, you wouldn't know it, but it really is. But like you're saying that, I still, for white wall tires, because like I said, I work on a lot of hot rods, different things like that. I use the SOS pad.
Yeah.
I use the SOS pad. It has a little soap in there, and then the SOS pad is kind of soft. It's not, because they would say, "Oh man, you get the wire brush out." It's like, no, I've seen what a wire brush does to a white wall, especially a nice coker, nice coker tire. It's like, no. I don't want that. I don't want that anywhere around. But yeah, I go old. That's my old school is with the SOS pad and maybe a little bit of the greaser. And man, yeah.
Do they still sell Bletch White?
Yep, they sure do.
Man, that's
and then that's an old product, and it still stands the test of time. There's a couple of products like that product that are still out there that are still. I mean, they've evolved a lot, but turtle wax,
hard shell finish.
Yeah,
turtle wax. We had turtle wax, Simonized #7, Bletch White. We're going old school here.
Yeah. Jeez, well, that's like I still to this day. And this is back when I was at the dealership. We had a somehow or something got onto the windshield of the cars, and they had a really bad. It was really difficult cleaning them, and it was Miami, product. And Miami, is a non-abrasive cleaner, but
Miami is like Barkeeper's Friend.
Yeah, Barkeeper's Friend's another, and I still to this day, it's funny. Somebody says, I just can't get my the windshield wiper streak or whatever. I just can't. And you go out there and I got the Miami, and you said, you clean it almost with a newspaper. I still use newspaper sometimes, and it's it's such a it works. I mean, I can't find anything else that really works, and it's funny how some of that old stuff is a little better. I don't know if they have something better. You said something about acid, not acid. What did you say? A cleaner, alcohol. What was you were
alcohol? For when you're prepping to take off wax and polish.
So you're saying rubber, regular rubbing alcohol, or are we talking about Jim Beam?
No, rubbing.
I'm still trying to get back to the wet T-shirt contest. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but no. So you're just talking rubbing alcohol to clean. Is that the final step before you put wax on?
Yeah.
For cleaning?
So basically, it's a prep, and usually it's a 50-50. It's 50% water, 50% alcohol. They've evolved the product, but it still works. People say, "Oh, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that." It still works. Some guys, they really believe and they like to use it, and I still use there's some when I want to take off tree sap. Alcohol is the best.
Yeah,
alcohol is the best. Alcohol and a microfiber towel, it breaks that stuff down so fast that.
So are you is that in a spray bottle mixture type thing, and you just spray it down, then you let it sit for a couple seconds, and then you wipe it up or whatever? If you're doing a front grill area or whatever, for how about bugs, if that type of stuff, is that the same? Is that could that be used for the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you would just have to. I usually soak the area, and then also I soak the towel as well, and then let it kind of break it down a little bit, and then kind of get in there and kind of.
Because when we had every 17 years when we have our cicada swarms, boy, I tell you, the front of the tool truck because that's a big area. I mean, that's and that gets pretty beat up with some bugs.
Yeah, when they do have products that you can put on as a prevention. I haven't used a lot of them because I just don't live in that kind of area. But actually, if you're driving your truck and it's the cicadas or whatever around, you can actually there's this product that you put on the front of your car, and then it helps when you get ready to kind of knock them down. They just come right off.
What's the easiest thing? Because I know everybody's a black car guy, and got to have the 36 inches depth or whatever. But I'm a white car guy, and I love I love a clean white car. But man, they're harder to keep clean. I mean, they oxidize. I don't know if it's oxidize is the right word, but they seem to turn
dull
yellow
or yellow. I think that it depending on the paint job. I mean, if it's yellowing, it might be single stage paint or something like that. Mm-hmm. They have the way to keep them healthy is usually they have products that's called all-in-one. So it is a light compound and then a protection at the same time. So basically, you can do it by hand or you can do it with a machine, and basically it's going to take out some of the scratches, almost like a cleaner wax. You heard of cleaner wax, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, but now they have it like in liquid form, and of course it's got nanotechnology and all that stuff. Performs a lot better. But usually on a white car, if it's yellowing, then it's probably not a clear coat. Clear coats, they tend to get dull. Mm-hmm. From the scratching and stuff like that. But yellowing might be single stage paint, but something like an all-in-one could, or like a cleaner wax would definitely clean that thing up. And it's like anything else, you have to maintain it. It's like your skin. Mm-hmm. Like you walked around and you just have a bunch of dirt on your skin. It's not going to be healthy. You gotta keep the surface of the car
right,
and even inside, even with the cloth and the seats, everything needs to be clean and maintained and protected all the time, because depending on the environment, if it's sun, wind, cold, doesn't matter. These materials, especially in the newer cars, they're going to break down fast. So that's why a lot of these newer chemicals are made with a lot of protecting elements and things in them, is to preserve what you have.
On that note, on the interior part, a lot of black plastic. And what do you recommend to use to clean and condition that black interior plastic?
Now you're talking like the piano black?
Like no, a lot of times it's like a matte black. I know my wife's Cruise has like a, it's black, but it's matte. My FJ, same thing. I have a little matte black.
They have like a coating on them. It's like because the German cars have the same problem where
I have a bottle of this stuff.
They have a coating on it. They like kind of, well, it fades and then it peels. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Eventually, it's like, are we using banana oil on it, or is Armor All still my fear, or my days of Armor All, is that you sprayed everything down with Armor All, then you slid around the whole car because you couldn't sit in the seat anymore.
Too much silicone.
That was back in my day with Armor All, and I was like, hey, I stay away from that stuff now.
Yeah, because it had a lot of surfactants in it, and it has a lot of silicone. Uh-huh. I call it, and they kind of got a bad rap because the way people were using it. Mm-hmm. If they used it the right way, like when you have to clean the surface. A lot of times people, they don't clean the surface. They'll just put their protectant in their thing right on top of the dirt. Mm-hmm. So you cleaning it, and then once you apply it to any of the plastic surfaces and things, you got to take the excess off. And a lot of people don't do that. They got all this shiny stuff, all this silicone, and what does the silicone do? It just grabs a lot of dirt, oils, all that stuff, and it's just, now all of a sudden it's doing the opposite of what it's supposed to be doing as far as protecting the vinyl and things like that. And a lot of the silicone, and that's why I think Armor All got in trouble, because it dries it out. So the newer products, better products, they have things like plasticizers built in to the chemical. They have UV. That's supposed to, back in the day, they didn't have that. They didn't even know really too much about UVs and things like that. Now, the interior cleaners and products, a lot of them will clean the car and it's not shiny. The whole look is kind of like a matte finish.
Mm-hmm.
That's a clean interior. That's how your interior should look. It shouldn't look shiny. It should look like a matte finish. You clean it. You clean it, condition it, and protect it. So now they have products that you can it'd be all in one. You can clean it, wipe it down, get the dirt out of the pores, get all that stuff out of the pores of the surface of the plastic, the vinyl, and then you want to put your other stuff down, but then you want to take the access off. That sliding around and all that. That's like I call it the greasy kid stuff.
Man, I tell you, I was in a taxi cab. I was in a taxi cab in Mexico, and man, he was going through, and I said, "Hey, man, that light is red." And of course, he went through the parking lot to make the turn, and me and the wife did 2 somersaults and a flip across to the back. And I tell you one thing, that was an armor-alled up. Everything. I mean, the floor mats, the seat, the door pan. I mean, that thing was slicker than you know what. But
that's what I was going to say. That's all I know about Armor All is if you're inside the car at all and you give it the tiniest little spritz, your steering wheel is automatically slicked up.
Yeah, that stuff's crazy.
It's airborne, man. It gets airborne.
This is a product that's out of the motorcycle world. This S100 stuff. This is a detail wax I like to use. Lewis, this stuff is great for the bike. It's a real quick detail wax. Okay. I have another can of stuff. I don't have it down here though. That's perfect for the black plastic. But I was looking at some of my old waxes.
Wow.
The Super Vase and the cleaner wax.
Wow.
From the from the wax shops.
Yeah.
Wax shop stuff. And you want to talk old school? Go with the old.
Wow.
The old knocks on, right? The old metal polish. And this is what a buddy gave me years ago, too. It's a can of Fleet. He said it was airplane wax.
Wow.
Colonite number 885.
You probably got a tin of...
Colonite is still around.
Yeah, it says for marine and aeronautical finishes in yellow. So this was airplane wax. This stuff is hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
You probably have an old metal bottle of the TR3 sitting around.
TR3? No, I don't have TR3. What's besides the Triumph? What's TR3?
It's a final finish product.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like the precursor to what we would call like a ceramic coating now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, what's the average life of a cleaning material? Since I myself, on the other side of the garage here, have some very ancient stuff, but is that stuff like if I put it in a shaker and shake it up for a day and a half, is that stuff still good, or if it's been frozen, or
it really all depends on the product and what the product is made out of. I mean, a lot of them will separate. Yeah, and like you can go and shake it for whatever, and it'll still be good, but it all depends on kind of what they made, what they made it up out.
I'll tell you something. I was just using yesterday, Brian. I had to clean some plastic, and I had a can of Permatex plastic cleaner. Right.
Wow.
So I shook it up and I poured some out, but it came out like
clumpy
salad dressing. Yeah. So I really shook it and I agitated it and I really worked it for about 3 minutes and it kept doing that. So then it went right into the garbage. I said, okay, we're done. And I looked at the label at the bottom, said Permatex Company, 1976. Man, have I had this that long?
Yeah.
But now I have this other stuff for plastic, Lewis. Another good for plastic for motorcycles, for shields, and even for face shields is what's that? It's a 3-part polishing system. Have it upstairs in the closet. I can't think of it now. I don't know.
Yeah, let me know.
Really, really good for motorcycle stuff, motorcycle plastics.
So what's your deal on tire dressing?
Dude,
tire?
Good question. That's a good question.
Yeah. So I've used 1,001 tire dressings, and what I'm currently using in the shop now is a product made by Surf City Garage, and it's called Beyond Black. and it's got to be one of the best tires that I've ever used.
Does it have that shine, or is it just that? I like the natural, or I don't know what the right word is. I'm not a chrome guy or a shiny guy that way. I don't like that where it looks like it's bleeding out the
yeah. I like my cleaned and treated tires to look like brand new tires right off the rack.
Yeah. And is there Beyond Black? I mean, what you're using, is that very similar to that, or?
Yeah, it is. It's got a little bit of a shine, but it dries very quickly. It doesn't sling. It's a water based, but it makes the tires look. It's kind of, for me, it's the perfect combination between having a natural tire, like Terry said, or with just a little bit, just enough for it to look nice and clean. And so that's what I end. The other thing that I like about it, it lasts for a long time. So I'll have customers come back, and a week later, their tires are still looking good. Now, when they come back, the other thing I like about it is when they come back in a month, there's no tire dressing on it, and the tire is clean. And so when I go to clean it, it's a very easy clean, and then I put it on. Doesn't have all this buildup, because sometimes people bring tires in and they just put tire dressing on top of tire dressing on top of tire dressing, and you got this tar, this thick gook and everything, and you have to get that all off the tires. But once they come in for their regular wash, the tire is clean.
Back in the day when I worked in the dealership, and a 911 or whatever came in, they would have like this tire gel stuff, and you'd go to rotate the tires or take a tire off, and it was like almost as bad like an anti-seize bath, because everything you touch, it was everywhere. And next thing you know, I'm like, I could have the pencil mustache and gel because you had all this tire crap all over you, and it drove me crazy. But I guess really my next question, since we went with the tire dressing, so what are you doing for a new car smell in a car? What fabric? I mean, what are you using for that final pleasure when the guy picks the car up and he's like, "Damn, this smells like a new car"?
So, one, I've gone way away from using any air fresheners, any kind of perfume, any of that stuff, unless the car has come in and it was a smoker's car, or I was taking an odor out, something like that. What I would use after I do my deep cleaning, and if I steamed it, did whatever, and got all the bacteria and all that stuff out, usually the car just smells good, like just has enough smell to smell good. And if it's a car, like I said, that I had to do a deep cleaning on, the only thing that I've used, and I've used it for years, is Febreze. I'll spray some Febreze in there very lightly, because what we found out too is some people, like, they're either allergic to it or they don't like it. I remember one guy a long time ago, he was like, "Don't put anything in my car. I don't want my wife thinking I smell like this or smell like that." And he got really like bad about it. And I was like, "I'm not gonna put anything in your car." And then like maybe thought about it. I said, "You know what? That makes, you have to know. Some people like it and some people don't. So I just don't do it." And for me, the most part, most of the cars I do are new. I don't do too many old cars, so I'm doing cars that are just got picked up from the dealership, or they're doing their 2018, 2019, 2020. So unless they coming in and they had like an accident or a bad odor, I don't use anything in the car, because
you mean no big crown on the dashboard?
No.
You're from New York, man. You know the crown, man. You know the crown.
Diamond in the back, sunroof
Diamond.
top, digging the scene with the gangster lean.
Gangsta lean, man. That giant big blue crown on the dashboard. Woo, that stuff stunk.
Yeah. So no, I kind of stay away. And a lot of the products that they're making for like interior detailers have very, very like light scents in them. They make them smell, so they smell kind of like just enough to where it's not overpowering. It's not.
I see it here because guys will bring their cars, and a lot of guys around here, the details they use this like heavy duty cherry and red. Oh my god, easy, dude, easy. Oof.
Yeah, it's like I got away from that, and I try to get it as clean as I can, and then I do a smell test. I say, oh, you know what? It smells like. A lot of times it'll smell like the person. It's like how your car kind of smells like you a little bit. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but it kind of smells like, okay, it's not a bad odor. It's just a light scent.
You're right, because this truck I'm driving now smelled like the guy that had it before, and I wasn't happy with it. It took me months to work, and I literally took the whole interior out and cleaned everything. I had the console in my shower, scrubbing it down, and I was using it's a red and white bottle. Very popular company. That's the bottle I went looking for, but I think I have it out in the garage. I can't think. It's a very popular company for cleaning products, and I used their stuff for the plastic and all, and it gave it a nice neutral. But it took a long time. It took months to get that, to get a different smell in there. So.
Have you? I go back because I go into a Lexus dealership. And they have a recall right now because the sound deadening that was under the carpet is a mold, and there's a smell in the car, and of course they got to rip all this stuff out, and they got to scrape all this stuff. So that goes back to, I remember one time we had taken, my wife had her truck done, and I got in the truck after we picked it up, and the carpet was still wet, because however they cleaned it, I don't know, they just took the garden hose in there and a broom and hosed it down. They said, hey, crack the window and it'll dry out in 3 days or whatever. That was a while back, but how do you prevent damage? Like I said, when you're steam cleaning the carpet, does that mean do you have like a Stanley steamer? What are you using?
So so basically when I'm getting ready to clean an interior, they have, like I said, about the products, they have a lot of times you can get an interior clean very well with just the right chemical, and you don't have to load it up with a bunch of water and things like that. Like for instance, I hardly touch a car with an extractor, hardly ever, unless it's something that's really bad. But for me, when it comes to detailing and bad cars, I usually price them out to the point where they don't want me to do it. No, because by the time I spent all of my time cleaning this car up, getting these French fries that were in there for a month, and going underneath the seats and all that, it's not worth my time. And basically, they don't really even care or appreciate their own car. Yeah. So I kind of discourage them. It's like, look, this is going to be an $800 job, and they're going like, what, for a detail? I'm going like, yeah, this has been neglected. And so before I have to get all these tools, I got to extract it. I got to do all of these different things to clean this interior. By the time I finish, I could have probably did 4 or 5 cars and had them out the door. Yeah. So, and the way my shop is positioned, they see, sometimes they go online and they come in, they go like, oh, okay, this is a high-end place. So usually they're not going to bring their soccer mom van in there and have me pulling the seats out and all that. I don't do that kind of work. So I just don't. But so I'll do a lot of my cleaners are light because I'm just getting up light dirt and light things from the vehicle. So I don't go in with a sledgehammer if I don't need to.
Right.
So
hey, I want to jump in real quick. I got to jump off, man, because we had an early start to drive out here. OG, man, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
And your family now, tell everybody it's your family now, so you can come on anytime you want.
Okay.
If you have something to promote, or if you just want to come hang out with us and talk car stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Please. I mean,
we do this every Thursday, man, except for the holidays.
Okay.
Yep. So listen, Ray takes over the after party, so you guys are about to go into the after party and talk about everything else besides car stuff. If so you're welcome to stay on. And
well, I gotta be hitting it because like I said, I'm still working my full-time job, and it's only 7:45 here in California. Okay. I have a full-time job, graveyard, that I need to be there and make sure that everything is going good. I mean, I love what I'm doing, but like I said earlier, I'm going to be retiring next year, so I'm getting all my ducks in a row. I got a nice little fat pension coming. I'm about 2 years from Social Security, so and I'm living the life, and I'm living the dream over here in this shop. And I was like, and I really count myself blessed because I'm literally, how many people, I didn't even know I was doing it when I did it, but I'm actually going to transition, and I'm going to be doing something that I love to do. I love this industry. I just built it and did it a different way, but I can actually hang up my hat on one profession and then go into something that I love. I really count myself, and I'm still healthy. I'm doing something that I really love to do. I have been doing what I love to do, but now I get to do it full time and get paid for it. And so I count myself blessed.
For a place up, we're running a parallel path because I'm in the same boat. I just retired this year, 6 months ago.
Wow.
With a pension, and now I transitioned into the automotive work I like to do, and I'm 2 years out of Social Security too. So
nice.
It's going to get better as I go, and probably for you too.
Yes.
But the guy says, as we go, you'll be making more money every year by not working. I'm like, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that. So listen, Lewis gave me your number, and I'm going to be in touch with you. So I want to get you on my radio show.
Okay.
And we do that on Sundays. So we'll work out a time that's good. It's not going to be probably into the new year now because I got some guests booked up. But I'll reach out to you and we'll talk.
No,
the time to get you probably maybe get you in the afternoon or something. Is that a good time? Afternoon?
What's that? In the afternoon?
Yeah, the best time to reach out to you. What time of day is the best to? You said you work a graveyard shift, right?
Yeah. So, but I'm usually at the shop 9 o'clock West Coast time. So that would be what, 12 o'clock your time?
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm usually here at the shop between 9, 10 o'clock every day. I'm here 5 days out of the week, sometimes on Saturdays, but usually I'm just trying to deliver cars or doing something like that, twiddling around, cleaning up, getting ready for the next week. But I definitely want to stay in touch because I'm not doing it this year, but usually every year I go back east to see my mom, and she's in Silver Springs, Maryland.
That's where I am.
Jeez, look at that.
You're in Silver Springs?
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're going to have to hook up. So she's in Silver Springs, and then
whereabouts?
Because how was that?
Whereabouts?
She's at Leisure World.
Yeah.
Wait, here I thought I was going to get him in the studio on the radio show because he was coming back to New York. No, he's going to freaking Maryland.
That's it.
Well,
that's
no. Now hold on, because now what I normally do is, since my wife and I are from New York, we still have family, so we'll go to Silver Springs. We spend time with mom, and then we take the train or drive to New York, and we hit all the spots, all the family. Then we come back home, and then we go home. But I think this year we're going to take a pass just because the airlines are crazy.
Yeah.
And the last year we was there, we were on our way home. I plan to stay because I get a nice break because I work at a college, so I get a nice break for the wintertime. we're off like almost 4 weeks. And so I took an extra week last year and wound up getting stranded because people were getting sick and things like that. And my wife was like, you know what? Let's just go home. We were going to spend New Year's for the first time. We were going to spend New Year's with Mom. We always spend Christmas. So we said, okay, let's go home. So we went to Virginia and we stayed in a hotel that was right next to Dulles, I think, Dulles Airport.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when they had the damn snowstorm. And we were stuck there for like 4 days. And we couldn't even get out. It was crazy. And my wife
that's the year that every 4 days we got like 10 to 18 inches of snow, and that was a brutal winter.
Claude, you just made this a little freakier because the job I just retired from off 35 years was at a college.
Okay, so what did you do?
I was faculty in a community college in the engineering department.
Nice. See, well, I'm maintenance and operations, so I'm the one that take care of all the buildings and maintenance. So, yeah,
wow,
it's a good gig, man.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, I'm out.
All right, Lewis.
All right, Lewis.
Take care.
Don't you guys eat too many cookies now? You behave.
Yeah.
Quick question, Claude.
You're muted, Terry. You're muted. You're muted.
You had said that.
Now go on.
The milk is chilled. We getting ready to
Tyler,
not don't take the pink one.
Hang on, Isaac. All right, Oreo it up, Terry. Oreo it up, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
The podcast earlier.
Easy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go, Isaac.
Go, Isaac.
Okay. The subject of fishing came up. Did you get to go fishing?
Me?
Yeah,
fishing.
You were. It was a podcast you were on. Rennie Doyle.
Okay.
You threw him. You threw him, Isaac. Where are you taking out?
What is a curve fish?
You guys. Well, I don't know how long ago the podcast was. I was looking up some stuff for tonight's show, just to hear your story and whatnot, and you were going over your beginnings and your start, and then that you were from back east, and that since you had moved, you hadn't had any good fishing.
No, and I haven't. I haven't yet. And it's so crazy because I've been in California and I haven't really picked it back up. I was a big lake guy. I never made it to the salt water, but I was a big
Los
lake
Angeles
guy.
River has too many fish.
But that's still one of my desires. And actually, I would like to do like a charter thing, like, go down to the coast of Mexico or something like that. I want to get on one of those boats, man, and kind of do that. But man, when I was young, man, dude, I was when everybody else was playing basketball, that was the thing. Everybody was playing basketball. I was going to the lake with my fishing pole and sitting out there and catching carp and bass and catfish.
That's good stuff. Nice. I have another quick question.
Okay.
During COVID and everything, being that you started a business and you're entrepreneur and whatnot, how did that affect you?
It only affected me for a minute, because I started my shop in 2019, 2020 around March, the pandemic hit, and probably for about a week or two, I kind of, because they shut everything down, they would shut all the business and everything down. But then one day, my now wife, she says, "Hey, why don't we go to the shop and clean up and just get some energy or something around there?" And I was like, "Okay, let's go." So we went, and she gets on the computer and she's going here and going there. And then I don't know how it came about, but I decided to look up some of my clients and see how they were doing. And lo and behold, I started contacting them, and they were like, "Hey, I've been wanting to get my car done. Can I come down?" I'm going like, yeah. We got masks. We were taking, we could take your payment over the phone. I didn't really have to do anything on the inside because most of the work that they wanted was on the outside. It was doing coatings and stuff like that. So yeah, I gloved up. And at that time, a lot of the guys were jumping on the whole sanitizing thing.
Right.
They were trying to, and I was like, nah. I kind of No. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling about going in somebody's car and all that, and you could be liable and all that. So I stayed away from that, and then eventually I started calling people, and next thing you know, I found we had our best month. We did probably almost $15,000, and that's been one of my biggest months because I started calling people and said, "Wait, let me call this other person." They were all sitting at home. They had money, but they couldn't go nowhere, and I was like. So I've been wanting to get this done, and then they found out, and then a lot of the places, because I'm an owner operator, a lot of the big box places couldn't be open. Yeah. They had too many people. They had the it was just me, and so we took advantage of it, and we actually had one of our best months and probably year during COVID.
Yeah, it was funny because you know, like you were saying about the pandemic and when it started. But one of the things when everybody got on that sanitizing and they were wiping down these cars and these touch screens, on the Fords and so forth, right. It was it was taking the not the ultraviolet, but the UV protection off the screens. Mm-hmm. And so then, of course, they were having problems with the screens not working, and then the touch thing, and it still is an issue because people, they don't buy the right product just because it says, it kills 99.9% germs. They're using the wrong product on the wrong it was funny because I noticed that some of the stuff says, I got it. It was like for electronics, and it's just because of that. It doesn't hurt the UV protection on screens and so forth. But that's like you said, it's pretty interesting because people, like you said, were jumping on that bandwagon and they thought a can of Lysol and a Clorox wipe would save the world. And they're just destroying product.
At the shop I'm at, the guy got the idea. He went out and bought an ozonator and bought a big tent, a blow-up tent to put outside. They could put the car in the tent. They were going to ozonate it and clean it. And it's like, wow, it's whatever.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys. There was a lot of guys too using steam, but they didn't realize that the steam was like pushing the stuff. Like when they're doing the steering wheels and stuff, it's just pushing it. And they're making it airborne. So,
it's crazy.
I'm kind of glad that I made it through that, but
it
was crazy.
Before you go, I know you said you had your second gig to get to. Do you have any kind of Instagram, Facebook, dirty pictures, or what do you got going on over there?
I have Instagram. My Instagram is I wonder, can I put it in the chat?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
That'd be the best thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank was asking about that earlier. Frank from Wrench Nation.
Okay. I can't even see my wife's so that's that's my Instagram.
Appearance Detail. Okay.
Appearance Detail. Okay.
And then I have there's Facebook, and on Facebook you can just I can't even read her letters. Near protection. Yeah. That's that'll be Facebook, and then IG, Facebook. What's the other thing that I'm thinking about? Oh, I don't do that.
Okay.
Appearance.net. The website.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And then there's my personal page. on Facebook as well. I can do this right here. So I have a personal page, a business page, and then IG.
That's good because Brian has a wall in the tool truck where he puts all this stuff up. It's like the bathroom wall. He just puts everybody's number and Facebook page, and then Isaac will do that down in the immigration detainee center. He throws them up on the wall down there in Arizona. Yeah, and I don't have to do nothing in New York because they'll find you anyway.
Well, that's awesome. It's kind of odd, or like I said, Silver Spring and Leisure World. Yes. It's a small world. Wow. That's one thing, and that's in my. I'm only 10 minutes away from Leisure World, basically 15. Without traffic. The
Brian,
traffic down
you're
here.
Years away from Leisure World. You just don't know it yet.
Oh yeah, well the Leisure World and the big globe out front, right?
Right.
Yep.
that was the globe from the 1966 World Fair.
Well, it's fair, man. That's what it
where
looks
that globe came from.
And I'll tell you something. OG. Being a fairly recent retired, people still ask me, so how do you like being retired? I tell them, you know what? I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Because your whole mindset changes of when you can do things, you do it when you want, and you can. And I find myself doing more because there's time in the day. You don't have to worry about that work thing,
Yeah.
I'm working harder, but I'm working on my stuff. So
and it's funny that you say that because leading up to it, like I said, I've been trying to cross my T's and dot my I's, and I think about that because because I got into the system kind of late. I'm in the CalPERS system, and I got in kind of late, so I'm not going to get that 90% income, but I am going to be probably like about 65% of my income. So we're thinking, okay, there's going to be a little bit of a deficit, but I'm going like, but what I lose in this, I can make in the business easy.
Sure.
With what I'm doing. But I think for me, and being a man and want to hey, I'm just newly married. I got grandkids. In the back of my mind is especially I'm not a politician, but the way that they run this country every year, it's something different. And I said, I'll be John Brown if I'm gonna have to go flip some hamburgers at McDonald's or something. Even though I know it would never get that bad, but it's always kind of like, man, but we're gonna be good. My wife is she's in business, and we actually share a space, and her thing is really taking off. And it's just so funny because I've been doing my business for 30 years, but she's been in corporate for most of her life, and she's had the opportunity to take everything that she learned in corporate and she turned it into a business.
Sure, great.
And her thing is starting to really take off. And so we're in a good place. We've both been married twice. We have grandkids. Our kids are grown. So we're in a good, now it's just me and her. We're here every day with each other. And she's doing it. She's really, actually we recently got hooked up with the Chamber of Commerce for our city. And it's changed. It's like day and night now because so many connections. We're doing mentoring. We're both involved in the mentoring programs and we're starting to generate a lot of relationships and a lot of things. Yeah. And it's really good. I had to tell her about a month ago, she got really, she was getting tired. And she says, there's not enough time to do this and to do that. And I'm not as young as I used to be. And I told her, I said, but we're doing something that we probably should have been doing in our 30s and our 40s.
Yeah.
As far as building this business. But it just happened. We did it the other way. We built our families and we went through our whole life cycle. And then at the other end, we're blessed to still be healthy and doing something that we love. She does like coaching, motivational speaking, and she helps people, managers and different things with businesses, the things that she's learned in corporate.
Right.
And like I said, been able to do that. And she's also helped people with startup businesses. She's like, she can do websites and all these different things. So she's having a ball with it. She's having a ball with it. and we're both having a ball, and we help each other. So we call each other, we're each other's handler. So when I have the opportunity to go out with her, I help her. I know her business. I help her, but she says, you turn me into your car girl.
Yeah.
I turned her into a car girl. This girl, she can detail. She can tell you all the different things about paint. And she can, she can rattle off a couple of cars here and there, but she got into what I was into, and really, like, I mean, she was at SEMA with me, and she was like having her own conversations, talking to other people in the industry, and I love it. So she comes and we talk the same kind of talk, and we have a good time, and so we're just kind of living the dream, man. So
on one other note, I don't want to tell you your business by any means, but being that I just came out of a school system, if you got a year out, start talking to them now about getting all your ducks in a row. Because I didn't wait. I didn't do it a year out, and I'm still fighting with them for a couple things. There's a few things that just didn't work out right. So yeah, start early with that. Make sure that everything is the way you need it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I've been doing that now. I've been talking and going to the place and find out, like, like the school says, well, you got to put 3 months in advance, and you got to do this. And then also too with my like, where we are on our schedule, it starts in the fiscal year starts in July, and we just got a raise. We just got a nice raise, and one of the people from the administration, they were telling me, they said, look, make sure that you need to be working at least 6 months so you can have that count on when you get ready to retire.
Right.
He said, you got to be working in that for, like, I said, wow. She said, yeah. So that's why a lot of people, they'll retire like in December, because you got to get that 6 months in order for it to bring you to that. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, little things like that.
You're in good hands. That's good. So like I said, I will reach out to you maybe in a week or two, and I'll give you a call one afternoon, and we'll chat. We'll get you up on the radio show.
Nice.
Well, you're back on the East Coast airwaves.
Nice. That's awesome. Nice.
Very good.
It was awesome talking to you. Like I said, it's
and I got to step on Brian, because I got to say, Claude, there's something real OG about you, because Brian hasn't talked this much in 8 months. I mean, he has his share. Believe me, he's got his moments, but not like this. What do you think, Isaac? Back me up on this. I mean,
I agree. I had a couple questions earlier, and I would go to hit.
Forget about it.
I'd go to unmute myself, and Brian's 5 more questions in.
Man,
Brian, all right, Brian. I love you.
I'm sorry. When I get a chance, like Isaac did, you kind of look and you see what the idea is going to be of the night. And like I said,
do homework, huh?
Yeah, I do a little bit of homework, and I try to be. I was, stepping in there, being Ray's right-hand man, and like I said, I'm auditioning, so maybe I get to his radio show when he finally retires or whatever. But
sure.
Like I said, it's one of those things that, it sounds simple, and it should be simple, but like I said, I mean, I can polish a wheel and get to that point, and you're like, it just needs one more thing, and it's like it turns to dog crap. You know what I'm saying?
Powder coated my wheels,
and you're like, God, I got to start all over again. Or you just say, screw it, and you bounce into the curb 3 times and let the scratch go. So
yeah, man, it definitely takes patience, and it's still for the most part a lost art. And those guys that really have a passion for it, and just like it's still, for me, it's still like therapy. It really is. I get in my zone, I'm just in my little space, and I'm just like, and I just love it. And sometimes I hate when I have to stop and go to work, to going like, now I'm giving, my time is going over there. And it's so funny, because people would ask me all the time, like, how are you doing both? How do you do both? I said, the thing that keeps me going is that I'm doing something that I love to do. So I might come home, I get off at 5:30 a.m. I'm home by 6, and I'm up at 8. And I'm here at the shop. But every time I roll that door up and I see something in there and get ready to work on, it all goes away. I'm not tired. I just have a good time, and and I keep doing my thing. But man, I just love coming here, and then the thought, and I do get a taste of it, Ray. I do get a taste of it, like sometimes when I take vacation. It's getting, and this is when I know I'm ready, because now it's getting harder to go back after vacation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just went home and my wife made me a nice steak and slept all night, and get up the next day and come into the shop. I like that. That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. And I want to be able to enjoy that. And especially now, retiring and things like that. And I was talking to somebody about like back in the day, we used to work, and you work a job, you do whatever. And then one of the things, and I think post-pandemic really had me start thinking about the quality of life, things that we're doing. And that's what really got me on this thing. It's like, do I really need to give this place another 5 years, 10 years when I can do with something else? And that's what really got me on this quest, because I said, look at how society has kind of gotten us, you work to 60 years old, but then, and it makes 40 years look like very small.
Yeah.
And then the more you work, especially now, like next year, I'll be 65. Yeah. And so it's like, when do we enjoy this life?
All right. Let me see if this is just going to keep on rolling on. What month were you born in?
April.
I'm September. So what I was going to say, man, if we were born the same month, because we're the same age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to come to New York, man. I got to come to New York, bro. That's for sure. But so it's kind of all, like I said, it's all coming together.
You're right. You start seeing things with a different lens, a different perspective. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I'll happily induct you, because now I'm hanging out with a couple, my retired cop buddies, and they tell me, now you're in the Romeo Club. You're going to get patches. Romeo Club. Yeah. Retired old men eating out. I'll meet one of them tomorrow for breakfast at a nice luncheonette. Nice. And then my other buddies last week invited me over on a Friday afternoon at 2:00, because I could do that. Right. And they gave me a hat. They inducted me into the Do Nothing Club. Said, we get here, we eat, we drink, we do nothing. Like, okay, all right. Yeah, and they even said, listen, it's kind of a stretch because you're far from doing nothing. I'm like, no, and I never will be at the point where I'm doing nothing.
Right.
I said, but I'll gladly accept the nomination into your club, because we'll sit, eat, and drink and tell lies.
I love it, man. Yeah. This is great. I'm definitely gonna be back. So Isaac, like, what do you do? I see Coach Isaac. So what do you do?
I coach middle school sports. I coach football, soccer. We just got done with our girls' soccer season.
Nice.
Third quarter, I'll be coaching boys soccer and then coaching baseball.
Nice. And where are you based at?
I'm Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. Wow.
So not too far from you. You're LA area, right?
Yeah.
My dad actually grew up in Monrovia.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he was born in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Wow.
And I think about 7 years old, my grandmother took him and my uncle, and they moved out there, and he grew up in Monrovia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Small world.
You can take the boy out of Jamaica, but you can't take Jamaica out of the boy. Jamaica Avenue, Atlantic Avenue, Picton Avenue. Well, that's Picton.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, fellas.
All right.
Tonight I'm gonna go and get this gig handled, but I will definitely be back. It was a pleasure. Yes. Brian, Ray, Isaac, man, this is great. I'm gonna love coming back and just being a part.
Anytime. Any Thursday, pop in.
All right.
Great talking to you. Appreciate everything.
All right.
Good night. All righty. Wow. I love it when we have good guests.
Yeah.
We learned something. We actually learned something.
There was a lot.
I learned that.
And I got about 9 more questions. I mean, the poor guy. I mean, geez. I mean,
hey, so I got to tell you now, among some of the things I've been doing, I've been cleaning up my workroom because I've been setting up more of my electronic stuff, and I had a Kennedy toolbox I have a Kennedy toolbox.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
And the top
one.
Yeah, the gray, the brown ones.
Yeah. Yep.
I have 4 of them. Do you know anybody that wants one?
Really?
So anyway, the top of it became like a junk collector, and I'm sitting there one day, and and over the years you put stuff in those drawers are very narrow and machine stuff. So the one deep drawer, I finally just I flipped the clips up, took the drawer out, and I dumped it out, and I said, I'm cleaning you out. And then I went drawer by drawer and vacuumed them. And then I got to the top. I dumped everything out of the top, and I found another one of these.
Oh, the emblem. Wow, look at that.
And it's got the pins on it.
It's still got the pins on them. Yep. Wow.
A metal one, another metal one.
Yeah, Porsche emblem.
That might fit a 914.
It's it was probably on a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I have another one over here somewhere, but yeah, one thing I meant to do today. I was supposed to go to the post office because this is coming to you, Brian.
Yeah, a mystery box. All right.
It's it's the e-torque sockets. I gotta send you back the old one.
Yeah.
And what I did is I put the bolts in this bag that were off my wife's car, because even on the replacement set, it's not 100% flush fit. It's better than these. It's better.
Yeah.
It's like if you put it in the next size up, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And the 10, you can get away with the 10 into the 11, but you can't get away with the 14.
Oh, so I had to check a couple other ones on the truck.
It was so I figured, let me send you those the OEM, the GM bolts, and this way you can use them as reference. But
yeah,
this way you have it as a gauge.
Yeah, no, because we had a it was a demo block or whatever, but it's a plastic. They were like on a keychain, and it had torques, inverted torque, it had all the different sizes to fit in. That's what I used, but I guess being plastic, it's not.
And that might even wear down over time.
Yeah, like I said, it might not just be a perfect, because I kind of stuck it in and was like, because I was like I said, I had a few bolts, and the smaller ones that seemed to lay flat in there. But like I said, I'm just but that's no problem. I wasn't. I had kind of forgotten about them.
Yeah, that's not good.
Well, it's just, man, it's been. I'm in this middle of this renewing my contract or my franchise, and I've had my district rep with me because they're surveying my route and trying to find all the legal document stuff that it's just been it's a pain in the ass.
And now you're in a new part of the basement.
In the garage? No, it's just been moving, cleaning, and moving stuff around. I mean, I actually, it was funny. I don't know. I don't know what hit me, but the other day, I mean, got a lot of area cleaned out around the car. I told myself, of course, I'm coming down to the end of the year. I said I will have a playing in traffic night with me working on the car. I mean, with physically over there.
Okay.
I mean,
good.
I really got, and I hopefully, like I said, I can just stay that way.
It's kind of funny too. You're saying like a couple of guys now, Jeep and Al, who hasn't been around here for a while, but he keeps in touch. He was texting me on Sunday when Dan was on the show, and then my other friend Rick, the guy I'm going to go to breakfast with tomorrow, retired lieutenant. They both said, "Hey, I'll go down to to Dan's shop with you. Let's go." Al was texting me during the show. Let's go. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
So I found out I got to go to Virginia Beach.
Oh yeah.
Now he's in Norfolk, but
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, there's a channel I watch that's it's a couple of there's a couple of that's old audio equipment. There's one guy, I don't know where his shop is, but he sent a couple of his guys out to pick up a pair of clear Lucite Pioneer speakers that were like demos, and he gave them a $2,000 budget to buy used equipment, and then they were to come back, clean it up, and flip it and see what the profit could be. It was like a game. So they went to this huge thrift shop, and the guy has a whole audio section in there. And I was like, damn, I want to go there. And I found out subsequently that guy it's in Virginia Beach.
Oh yeah.
So I got to find the name of it, and I'm like, damn, I got to go to Virginia Beach.
Wow.
And then and now Rick wants me to go to Dan's farm. I'm like, look, Dan gave us like kind of a standing invitation, so I'm sure it's possible, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He's going to be the guest here next week, by the way, next Thursday.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, he's an interesting guy. I mean, it's
yeah, he is.
Not just saying interesting guy, but it takes a lot, when you start to say living off the grid or having that platform. I mean, it's funny because like a while back ago, I got on this kick that I want to raise chickens, because we're allowed to have X amount of chicken. You can have X amount of chickens.
With the price of eggs, we were talking about that today in the supermarket. Like,
and of course, my wife looked at me and said, "Yeah, the first time you have to kill a chicken, and I'm like, oh, I could do it." And I'm like, and then I'm like thinking that's it's not that you can't do it, but it's just like I said, there's a lot of learning process. There's things that aren't taught, about doing that. You don't, it's a young chicken. It's not an old chicken. It's just like a whole bunch of stuff. And of course you gotta, it was funny. I was watching something.
I'd keep them for pets. I'd want to keep them as pets instead of.
Yeah. Well, like chickens, like, I think Dan said it, but I watched something like, chickens will kill themselves. Like they eat their eggs, so you got to put fake eggs in there and you got to do this. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you just don't realize that really need. And of course, those type of things of being self-maintenance or self-contained, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of, it's just not, I'm going to be living off the grid while you're watching TV,
Right. No, my mom grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, and a couple times she told my kids, they grew up, they didn't have heat in the house. They had a stove in the kitchen, like a coal stove.
Yeah.
And they said, like they had those bed heaters that they put, in the bed with them. But she said when it was really cold, her mother would let them sleep in the kitchen by the coal stove. And it had to be up at like 4:30 or 5 a.m. every day of the year to feed the chickens and slop the hogs and stuff, and then go to school. And she told them, like, it came up about what they did with the chickens. And she says, and my mother-in-law too grew up on our farm in Poland, and they would just snap their neck. That's how they would kill them, just snap the neck, and then you gotta pluck them. And I mean, there's a lot. And there's
a lot of stuff.
It's like saying, hey, catching fish, we'll go catch fish. Yeah, well, cleaning fish is the other part of catching fish. And,
Yeah.
I remember one of the times we went fishing as a family with my kids, and we got back home. We weren't real far out of town. We went for the day, came back, and when it came to cleaning the fish, my daughter was right there in the middle of it. Why? Ooh, can I rip the guts out too? And we're like, are you okay, kid? We gotta worry about you.
Gonna get some counseling tomorrow.
Yeah, but she loved it. The sitting all day and waiting to catch a fish wasn't as fun for the kids, but she loved at that time. Right now, she probably wouldn't love the idea of cleaning a fish, but at that time,
right. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. So,
But yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, as far as like farm life or off the grid life, my family way before I was born had a farm, and my mom grew up a little bit on the farm, and she remembers, you know, getting the fresh milk straight from the cow, you know. But it was, everything was a daily chore. It's not like you said, Brian. It's not you sit around all day watching TV and go get an egg when you want it.
Right.
You gotta do all the work, the work around the farm, and make sure everything's safe. It's not gonna get you don't have coyotes or whatever animal you have wherever you're.
That's what happened to my was a friend of my wife's, her husband, you know, they had chickens, and that's when I got, you know, part of that. And, you know, Mr. Fox came in one night and had a feast, you know. So you know, again, like I said, it's just not as and then, you know, the sad, I mean, you know, not the sad part, but, you know, one of the things, just one of those things that it's a lost art, like everything else. It's not taught, or, you know, not thing. And like I said, if when the shit hits the fan, if the shit hits the fan, and we have to be, you know, you got to rely on yourself to do this. You know, like I said, there's things that you know, you have to learn, and, you know, you might go hungry learning the hard way, you know.
And you got to do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are going to be in trouble if the shit hits the fan, because
I don't think Chick-fil-A is going to be open 24/7.
No.
No.
Well, the good thing is now that solar has come a long way. You know, the early solar cells, I remember I had it. We worked with them when I was back in college, and, you know, you're getting like millivolts out of a solar cell. Now you're getting real voltage, and you can stage them. So you can actually get some good power out of a solar cell now, a solar array. So that helps a lot, you know. And now battery technology being what it is, that helps a lot to store the power.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, I mean, it's easy. I mean, it is easier in a way, but, you know, like I said, I just I admire people that can do that and have the resource. I had a customer of mine when he built his house, you know, it was very green, and, you know, he had said that he learned, you know, it was a learning process through the whole thing. And of course, this was several years ago. Of course, now, you know, again, the problem with all that is technology, because it's almost like, you know, me looking at my Mustang and all the stuff that I bought that I was going to do is so outdated, or it's so timed for that time period. That's fine if you're going to make it fit that time period, but it's outdated, or it's, you know, like the bushing, you know, the different type of material for bushings, or all that stuff, that technology, you know, you once you start, it's kind of hard to keep up with technology.
And what's even worse is I know a lot of guys who, like I did that, you know, back in the 90s. I knew I had to restore my car. I didn't do it for another 20 years, but I bought the stainless steel brake line kit from Stainless Steel Brake, and I bought, you know, the braided stainless hoses, and I bought a line lock, and I bought an MSD, and a lot of stuff I didn't use, but a lot of that stuff was still okay to use. I know guys who've bought like the billet flame laser cut wheels and the matching steering wheel and rear view mirror, and now you put it on the car and it's like 25 years old, man. It's like now you dated your car.
Yeah.
You might as well just had the pastel paint on the side too, you know. So some things are okay to stockpile like that. Like, you know, the bushings aren't really going to go bad, you know, sitting in storage.
No, but I'm just talking about the, you know, like the difference between what's that stuff? What was those?
For bushings.
Yeah, the not.
No. We went. Well, yeah. No, we went to. Yeah. Right now, you just pushed it right out of my head.
Polyurethane.
Yeah, polyurethane. And of course, like I said, the earlier stuff, like I said, if you didn't put any kind of grease on, they still had to be lubricated, or they would make a noise, they would squeak or whatever. And
Only
of course,
Ford.
Only
if they're in a Ford.
Oh, stop!
We know about those Ford bushings.
Yeah. So, but again, like I said, it's funny. Go through.
Well, and they didn't have the LS motors back then, and
right.
I wanted. I gotta see if I can find it. I don't know if it was at PIR, but they had a postal truck, a Jeep thing with one of those little postal trucks with an LS motor in it.
All right.
And I saw it, and I said, "Man, I want to send it to Terry. Maybe he can. That could be his new shop truck."
Well, you got the picture of the Mormon looking guy with the wanting to introduce you to the LS.
Wanted to introduce
Did you see?
LS.
Did you? I didn't. You didn't see that, Ray? Did you?
I don't think so. No.
Here it is.
The Mormon, yeah.
Oh yeah. I did see that somewhere. Yeah.
Isaac put that in the chat the other day.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you.
Funny.
I saw it. I started laughing. I thought about Terry, and I thought about you.
Oh.
But if you watch on my page, I post LS, Mopar, Chevy Mopar, Ford. A couple of times recently, I've posted the Ford Maverick, not the new garbage truck Ford Maverick, but the real Ford Maverick.
You don't like the new truck, huh?
I don't like it.
My buddy at the shop is trying to buy one.
Good luck.
But then, he can't find it. They're not around.
Yeah.
Look, we saw a couple at a dealership a couple months ago, but yeah, nothing to be had.
Yeah, those.
I like the car. I'm not a fan of the truck.
Truck is kind of. Have you seen the truck up close?
No, that's the one thing I will say. I haven't seen it up close, so
okay.
I may change my mind if I go for a ride.
But they're all electric, though, right?
No. There's a gas version, and that's what he was looking at, the gas version. And I tell you, it's coming in as a budget price. It's like $22,000. So, and we were talking to the one dealer, and he said, yeah, the difference is there was like an excursion next to it. He goes, this thing has like 150 modules in it, or 150, or 1,500 chips. He goes, this thing has like 1/100th of that. It doesn't have the backup camera, doesn't have a lot of the electronics. He goes, so it's a lot less electronically dependent. It was made to be an entry-level budget truck, and it was comfortable to sit in. Those F-150s and the Lariats, some of those bigger trucks are really luxurious. Where this is it was like buying a Datsun truck back in the 80s,
or like the Chevy
pickups, or Chevy,
or like
Love.
the Chevy Love.
But nicer than that. They're not that. It's not that cheap. It's not that cheap.
Yeah.
So I mean, I didn't get to drive it, but I did. We sat in it and played around with it. But
yeah, if I saw one up close, I might like it. I think more so. You hear the Maverick name, I'm thinking of the car.
Yeah.
If they named it something else, even if they named it a Ford Ranger,
Yeah. I don't know why they brought back that name and not the Ranger. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I don't know if Mitsubishi went through with it. I haven't really followed, but like they had the Eclipse was their sports car. And,
right.
And they were bringing out a SUV, XUV, a crossover SUV, whatever, something like that. And they were naming that the Eclipse.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if they went through with it, but I saw an article probably about 3 years ago or something like that, maybe a little longer than that. But I think those little things is kind of part of what the turnoff is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, reusing names is always suspect. You don't know, you know, like obviously when Mustang, you know, the new Mustang and the Challenger, when they brought that back, they followed the old suit so you could see the lineage. It wasn't
exactly
a name that you know on something you don't know. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, it has a little bit of meaning, so it sticks to what the meaning is. You know, I mean, if they turned around and came out with a Mustang SUV or, you know, or Mustang truck, I think that would upset people. It'd bother me.
Well, they did. It's the E-Stang, the E-Mach, whatever it is, the Mach E.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you know,
Yeah.
It's kind of got the Mustang name, but it really isn't. It's an SUV.
Yeah.
It's not,
To me, that type of stuff is bothersome.
and it's fully electric. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's bothersome on many levels. There's the electric part, but then there's the fact that you're
Right.
naming a SUV or a crossover the Mustang, or
Right.
you know. But
Yeah.
oh, did you get to watch that video, the treasure hunter thing?
No, I put it in the queue today. I wasn't even near a computer, but I will, because that looked. I watched the very beginning just to see what it was about, and then I saw the length and said, "Okay, I don't have time to watch that now, but I will get to that." Because that video I sent you was a guy that I follow. He does a lot of real estate, so a lot of like the 10 best, you know, counties in this state, or the 10 best states to retire in, or the 5 worst states to retire in, or the 5 worst. You know, he'll do a lot of videos. So when I saw Arizona, I said,
Yeah.
I finally gave it a watch, and I said, Isaac will probably like this.
Yeah, I told my wife about it, and then when I told her Oro Valley was 7 and Catalina Foothills was number 1, she kind of rolled her eyes because, you know, I mean, it's all part of Tucson. It's all, yeah, I mean, it's the metropolitan area, so it's all on the outskirts. But I live basically between Tucson, Marana, and Oro Valley, and then down the street from what would be considered Catalina Foothills.
Okay.
So it's all pretty much the same area. It is Oro Valley and Catalina Foothills area is very beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when the one scene where you see the snow on the mountain,
Yeah.
and then Oro Valley, you see the mountain, they're on opposite sides of the mountain of each other.
Oh, okay.
You go over the little peak there, and then you're at Catalina Foothills, and of course to get to both you just go around, you know. But yeah, that was kind of interesting because as I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's the same mountain. It's really just the same mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy does a lot of the videos he does. He's either lived in or had some time in the cities that he's doing. Sometimes he didn't. He just does his research. But yeah, so it's, you know,
He was pretty spot on as far as like the price on the housing.
Yeah, he's pretty good because he gets it off of current data. He does his research.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff up in the Phoenix area, I was like, I don't know. But again, I'm not up there and I'm not really interested in up there, so I don't follow it. But but I'm pretty sure he was spot on because, well, like you said, he gets his current information. But when he came down this way, the pricing was pretty spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. So what do you got planned for tomorrow, Brian? You got anything good?
Hopefully I can pull it out. I mean, it's been a terrible week.
Really?
Yeah, it's been dead. But I, you know, like I said, I have my district rep with me tomorrow, so it's still going to be he's actually really good. It doesn't really, I don't want to say slow me down, but you know, he's got like I said, they got count heads in all the shops and get the address, you know, and it's kind of a routine thing. It's kind of stupid in a way because they got to go find the owner or the shop foreman and do you still want Brian to come in here and all the, this political PC crap?
I guess you'll definitely be going to Target though, right?
Huh? Yeah. It's been dead. They really haven't had anything. I don't have any show and tell. It's kind of It's kind of usually this time of the year there's not a lot because it's more holiday stuff. So some of this stuff gets kind of the one manager at the Target. She said something. She goes, there was nothing today, and I said, how about if we go play around in the storage room and take a look and see if there's anything back there? And she laughed, and she goes, do you think? And I said, well, look, I said I said you haven't had any P case. The P cases have been out. And the other Target that I go to has already had 2023 cars, A case. So I said, I can't believe you don't have anything sitting back there. And she goes, well, maybe I'll have to look for tomorrow. And I was like, okay, but
I was just thinking you better watch the way you go ask her if she wants to go play around in the storeroom.
Well, come on.
I know. I know.
I mean, hopefully, like the guest earlier didn't get too upset when I was talking about the wet T-shirt contest because, hey, dude, I'm not joking. We started talking all this bubbles and water. I was thinking car wash, dude. That was that was classic, and
Dr. Irwin Corey.
Yeah, man. I was
Richard Pryor's Mr. Big.
Yeah, you mentioned it, and then I had the song playing through my mind.
Now I'll tell you something.
I was like, thanks a lot.
I'll tell you how I got suckered in. One year, me and Chris were covering for Rob, the guy who does the show before us, called the Free For All. So it's all music. So, and I brought like all the music in. And Car Wash is one of my favorite songs. I love the movie too.
Yeah.
So he cues it up, and it's the clapping, and he says to me, hey, why don't you talk up the song? And like, I'm not a classic DJ. Him and other guys I know, they'll talk up a song, cut the post like a thin piece of garlic. I mean, it's really a talent. So I figured, okay, let me see. Well, Car Wash has it's like a minute and 15 second intro. It's like, you could read a book in a minute and 15. I was like, oh my God. He goes, yeah. He goes, I threw you under the bus because that's one of the worst songs. Like, you never want to talk that one up.
Well, the funny part, Ray, when you're on your show, you had what was the song that you played that was in
just last week?
Yeah.
Ram.
Black Betty. Ram. And I almost called in because I was going to say, to get that out of your head, you had to play a Bee Gees song, like Staying Alive, something else just to divert what, because Chris was right. You get that thing in your head and you got that all day. And I was like, yeah, but you need to throw in a BG classic, Staying Alive or whatever, just to throw, to throw your mind from that to another one,
I'll tell you the truth. I actually have in my bag some backup music, and I have a 2 CD BG set in there.
Yeah.
When in doubt, go to disco. Well, no, you know what? That was my buddies on Friday. My one buddy, Jeff, was pulling up all these videos that he likes to watch, band videos, and some of them are pretty out there. And I was just getting tired of seeing all this stuff. I said, hey, pull up Black Betty by Ram Jam. I said, it's a great video. They're outside in the backyard. They got their bike, the chopper's there, and it's a real old school video. So, and then after that, I told him, I said, now pull up that song 404. And my friend Rick had never heard that. He goes, can you play this on the show for me, this weekend? I'm like, yeah, I didn't pick any music yet. I can do that. So that's where that came from.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was a request.
I enjoyed the weekend you did Louis Prima.
Yeah.
I like
one of
Louis
my favorites.
But my wife because I always change the words to songs and usually not appropriately.
I've been doing that since I'm a kid.
Yeah, and I'll put on Pennies from Heaven, and I'll start singing Panties from Heaven. My wife shakes her head and knocks off already.
Yeah, it's funny.
Oh,
yeah. So I almost I was going to chime in, but I didn't know when Dan was going to come on or whatever. But I was going to say now you got to play something, another one of those songs, that you can just never get out. Or I hate to say it, but you play like a Michael Jackson song. You know what I'm saying? One of those songs that just those commercialized that have been beaten to death. That, like I said,
so something else that'll be in your head for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Yeah. So, hey, going back to last week when you were pulling up old pictures, I got an old picture of me.
Wow, look at that. Looks like Bobby Brady. Cool.
Here's one with me.
Oh, the cowpoke.
Me and we went to Tombstone that day. It was me and my that's my wife. We went down to Tombstone. Yeah. At least I think that's where we went.
Yeah, Tombstone. So no, like I said, it's been really, really slow, and the shops have been empty. It's been really, I don't know. I'm kind of holding my breath for tomorrow's credit card runs. I might have to get up a little bit earlier tomorrow to.
Hey, well, as you know, as by my count, I got a whole nother order here waiting.
Yeah, you got actually I need to go over that.
Yeah.
I got a pile sitting over here, and I don't know.
Most of it's probably mine because it's probably what's on that list.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to go over.
Yeah.
I got that, and hopefully I'm hoping that I get my this renewal thing all straightened out. I gotta do some body work on the tool truck.
So that's something they got to. Yeah, no, you got to stop sideswiping cars. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not the sideswiping hasn't been the bad part. I just got some rust. I got some rust. I got
What type of car was that you ended up against? What was the other?
My daughter's. It was a Hyundai Sonata.
Oh, Sonata.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your youngest girl's car?
Yeah, it's Emma's.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you.
Did she forgive you yet?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, actually, like I said, it's a little wrinkled. It's not that bad. It was just I got really lucky that you could still open the door and not mess up the fender. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of flattened it on there, and I guess the only thing that really kind of irked me was putting a hole in the tire.
Yeah.
Got that. Actually, it was funny because of course, you know how tires go. It's like you think you only need one, and it's either you need to replace the other side or you need all four. It's like it's just the way it is. And it was kind of funny because when I took it over to my buddy's shop and got it up, I looked and I was like, man, I really need another tire. I should just do the two fronts.
Well, you know what? So you can look at it as a blessing. Like, good thing you saw that, so you could get good tires on the car for her. So
yeah,
like you wouldn't have caught it.
And I was like, well, and Pete was like, yeah, you really need to. And so, of course, the funny part was it's the size. It's a 205. Was it 205, 65, 15 or whatever?
Yeah, very, very popular size.
And they only had one. He only had one.
Yeah.
We had to order, and it had to come out of I don't know if it came from Arizona or I don't know where it came, Kentucky or something, because nobody on the East Coast had one.
Wow. Yeah.
And it came in yesterday, and Pete says, "You gonna come by Thursday night?" And I was like, I know last Thursday I was late because of it, and I was like, maybe we'll try Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, but I need to get the other tire put on, and when we did that, I had the tire, the TPMS light was the tire monitoring was it flashed a couple times, and so we took the scanner by the TPMS tool, and I got one that has a low battery.
Yeah.
Starting to get a low battery signal, so I told Pete, I said, well, when we do the other tire, I guess we'll just put new sensors into. I mean, it's it never ends.
Sure.
Did it start flashing before or after you smacked the tire?
Well, it's done it. Emma's told me that there's been a few times that it's flashed, or it had did it, and now the problem. One of the biggest problem was when I put the spare on. Of course, it didn't read. It wasn't reading it, and it had the light. That light was on, and the ABS light was on because it throws everything all out of whack. And of course, when we put the new tire on, you had to go drive it, to redo it. But the light flashed, so we got the TPMS tool out and went around, and it had one that said it had a low battery signal. So eventually, that's the same thing that happened with Brianna. It was funny. Brianna had one, the light was on, and she went to go put air in the tire, and she well, I'm at 36 all the way around, and I was like, okay. And she goes, do I need to go up more? I mean, I won't turn the light out. And I said, no, it's probably a problem there, And sure enough, it had a low battery. I got the TPMS tool off the tool truck, and it had a low battery.
Oh, speaking of that, just to divert a little, I started a search again, looking for another battery tester tool. The one that'll check it'll measure by capacitance and check battery health and cells and all. But the more I looked, the more I got confused because there's so many of them on the market. I know, Mako, you guys have the one that's the wireless one, right? It's just like 2 clamps.
Yep.
That looked pretty cool. That caught my eye, and I really liked that.
Yeah. That one's pretty good. And then they have what was the other one? I can't remember the number.
It tests the health of the battery too. The cells.
It'll test state of charge. It'll test, what do you call plate voltage. It'll give you parasitic drain. You can check. It'll cell health.
Yeah.
And it'll give you a printout, so if you deal with customers, you can give them a printout.
And I think is that the same? Is that one? I can't remember if that has the phone app to it.
I think it does, because I think that's how you read the data is on your phone.
Yeah, right. It's got because there's another
that's the only thing I wasn't 100% happy with. I'd rather have something that was a standalone.
Right, because I think it also, I had to double check. I don't want to hold myself to this, but I think that it works with our scanners.
Okay.
Because our scanner is not Android, but cloud based, or was it Windows based? Not Windows.
Well, it could be a Windows platform, but it could be cloud based storage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like your iPhone. It's it's the iPhone base or cloud base or whatever.
cloud.
It's not Windows. It doesn't have. We got away from Windows. I can't remember what it is, but I think that's why. I mean, that's why it's either you download the app or if you have one of our scanners, and even if you go with, I think it even works with our entry level scanner, which is around $700 or something. And that's pay as you go. So like if that would be that's a smaller version of our bigger scanner, but it has all the we call it the code reader on steroids.
This one, I have this one here. It's the MD Max battery.
Yeah.
Those are the clamps.
Yeah, that works with our scanners.
But can you use that with the cell phone application?
Yeah, I think if you download the app, I think you can use either a cell phone or it goes. That's when I was telling you it's that like a standalone. It would go with your scanner.
Right. And the other thing was I was talking to. So yeah, I was again looking for. I'll go in and out. I'll look for stuff. Then I forget. Then I come back. Then I look. It's always because the battery on the FJ again. I went to last week. It was a slow crank and it didn't want to start. And I had to give it a jump.
Oh really?
And now that I've been using, and I got an interstate in there, a Megatron interstate. I changed it 3 times already, and I'm buying the Megatrons, the good ones, and I had a bad cell every time. So this time I just I drove it and then I parked it in the driveway. I put a battery tender on it for like 2 days, and now I've been using it like every other day, and it's starting up fine. So maybe it isn't a bad cell. It may just be that it just sat too long.
Yeah.
Again, I wanted to test the battery and short of I got the old toaster type load tester, but they actually recommend the capacitance test now, not the heavy resistance test. And what they did now is they got slick. You can still get at the cells, but they put a label over the top of them. So you got to pull the label off. So, now does that constitute voiding the warranty on the battery?
Yep.
So that's a pain in the ass. You can't even get in there to test the cells with a hydrometer.
Yeah, the batteries here don't last long.
No.
With our environment. No. You get the batteries, I think the best I've gotten is 3, maybe 4 years. And that was once in a blue moon thing. Right. Usually here they last about 2 years. Doesn't matter how much they tell you they should last.
Wow.
Our environment's just too dry.
That sucks.
I mean, most people around here don't understand checking the cells, and because a lot of times when I've seen a battery that's dead and you pop the cells, it's bone dry, and
wow,
and nobody knows,
Well, usually the only time you lose the fluid is if you like overcharge the battery and it sulfates
and it bubbles
out.
and sulfates out. Yeah,
but if you're not overcharging,
that's just wear and tear on the vehicle.
All right. So then, what if you were to keep your eye on the battery cells through the life of the battery, and
you might
top them up if they're going low? You
might get more out of it. Like I said, so say you get 2 years. You may get that 3 years out of it. But again, even staying on top of it, it's just so dry here.
Yeah.
It's dry, and then the heat. And then, too, you add the ambient heat along with the heat underneath the hood. Now, if you take there's like my sister had a Saturn, and the battery was mounted in the trunk. That thing lasted a long time by Arizona standards.
Right.
So,
I need new batteries. I need new batteries for the back. They have I have 2, 4, 6. I've got 6 of those 6-volt golf cart batteries in the back.
Those aren't cheap either.
No, and my old tool truck had the same thing, but I converted I put 3 12-volts in.
Right.
And I put 3 12-volt deep cycles.
Yeah.
And it worked to say, I mean, it worked. The only reason why they used the 6 volts, because you got a little longer cycle, you got a little longer what's the word I want to use? Your not rebound, your
duty cycle.
Yeah, the cycle, the bat, like if with the truck being off, the reserve time was longer. That's why, like, ambulances, all that stuff has, the 6 volts in them. When you do 12 volt, you don't get as long. It's like, the difference is, like, I could go, like 2.5 hours, roughly 2 hours with the truck off, running the lights and stuff in the back. Now, if I was on a 12 volt, it's only like, hour and a half, hour, it's a big time difference. But I never turned the truck off really long enough to worry about that. So, I don't know. I don't know if I haven't decided. Like I said, my old tool truck, I converted it over to 3 12 volts instead of the 6. And it was a little cheaper.
What all are you running back there besides the lights?
Lights, computer, for the inverter.
He's got the pump for the Jello pit.
Jello, refrigerator,
the Jägermeister machine,
the pressure sprayer for the wet t-shirt contest.
He's got the hot dog roller.
My George Foreman. Yeah. So, and of course that works the lift gate if I'm using a lift gate and so forth.
That's to get the supplies in. He's got to get the Jello and the tapioca and all the hot dogs.
And so, it runs quite a bit. So, or, there's quite a bit going on. The printer, and that's about it, I guess. But, again, I don't know. They frown upon that, or they don't like when you do that. Well, I'm talking about, like, if you start having other issues, or another problem, they always go back because you changed the battery. You changed the system. You didn't. If you have an inverter problem or
it's because
what's it called? An isolator that keeps like my old tool truck. I learned the hard way. My isolator went bad. And what would happen is it would drain the batteries up front. If I had the truck off and I had everything on in the back, here I am. I think I have, the hour or 45 minutes, because there's some places I'm in a neighborhood, and I usually get the truck running. We only have even though I'm exempt, because I could have livestock. That's what they call humans here. Livestock in the truck. But we have a 15-minute 15-minute idle run time. And if you're over, there are a few people that will come over and told me my truck's been running longer than 15 minutes. And then they call the cops, and it's a whole thing. Eventually, when I have my TV show, you guys will sit there and shake your head on some of the stuff that I had to deal with. It's kind of amazing.
Now, is that a Maryland law or rule?
Yeah,
15-minute or hour, whatever it is.
It's a 15-minute idle time. Yeah,
because of the livestock.
Well, no. If me because I could have livestock in the truck, I could idle. I mean, I can run all day. Okay. I don't have to. But if you're a regular delivery truck is a 15-minute idle or 15-minute runtime. If you're parked for more than 15 minutes, you got to turn the truck off. So, there's a few Karens that I get that come over and say your truck's been idling. It's 15 minutes. It's over 15 minutes. It's been a half hour. And I tell them, well, I'm exempt. And they say, why are you exempt? I said, I have livestock in the truck. And then then their idea is, I want to see the chickens or pigs or cows. You know what I'm saying?
Then you say, I've got illegals back here, mind your own business.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know where they?
If I'm on vacation, I'll come and sit in the truck with you, and you can pull that.
You know where the term Karen came from, don't you?
The
term Karen.
Yeah.
When they had the in the middle of the pandemic, when the protesters were all out, right here in my town, there was a confrontation just a couple thousand feet down the road on another main road, and there was this woman who got in the protesters' faces, and they labeled her. They called her Karen. Now her name wasn't really Karen, but they called her Karen, and because she was like the face of suburbia.
Yeah.
And they were saying, I mean, they were getting a lot of people pissed off, me included, because they were saying, we're going to come down and protest and take over your houses. You got nice houses. We're going to take your houses and live there because we should have that. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You want to pay the mortgage? I'll hand, no problem. We can work on that. But like, you're going to live here because you like what we got. Well,
yeah.
Hey. And this woman got in their face on the news. The news crew happened to be there, and they just nicknamed her Karen. I don't know what the origin of that was, but
yeah,
that's where that came from my town. So
I had they were talking about that down here as far as we're gonna go in these neighborhoods and we're gonna take over. One of the areas they said they were going to do it is in Scottsdale, and it's like Arizona is not the state to play that game.
Yeah,
we have stand your ground laws. We have, this is not this and Texas are probably two of the states not to do it.
Right.
And it got real. There was stuff out on Twitter. Supposedly, I didn't see none of it, but there was stuff on Twitter where they were, we're going to meet up at this time and we're going to do that. And as word got out and everything, they, I guess, decided it was not a good idea. So,
well, I'll tell you, we kind of put up a good fight too, even though we don't have the diversity of stand your ground law that you guys have. But because then it came down, the protest. I took pictures. I'm on a short little block. I'm the second house in, so I'm maybe 60, 70 feet from the corner, and they came down the side street by me, and man, I walked to the corner and it was something to see, that crowd of people. And it was all mixed. I mean, there was black, white, Chinese, everybody was in there, man. There was, you name it, they were picking up strays and mutts from everywhere. And this one black dude, this is what they were doing. They were taking a lot of I guess pride in this. They would jump off the line and get in somebody's face like this guy did to me. And what he wanted you to do is to say Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
He's like, well, say it. And it's like, dude, this isn't the way, whether I agree or not. And I do agree, all lives matter, but they don't want to hear all lives matter. They were forcing their agenda. It was like, don't be trying to force your agenda on me in front of my house, because we're going to have a problem. I don't care how many people are in the street.
Yeah.
I'll keep going until I got nothing left, man. And I stared this guy down and said, get back in the line and continue with your protest. Do what you're here to do. But don't get off that line and get in people's faces. And it was tense for a few minutes. And then he finally did turn and went and got back on the line. Other people maybe wouldn't be as, wouldn't. I heard that there was some areas where it got ugly. And it was like right there. It was getting ugly. And like, if the wrong breath came out,
Yeah.
We're gonna be rolling on the asphalt, you know.
Ugh.
Well, the problem is a lot of people don't realize is that when you have the right to protest, it's to peacefully assemble.
Right.
And they don't realize that peaceful assembly.
Protests here, we're getting kind of, and then in the city, you know, I'm not in the city, but in the city, that's where the looting was going on, and they were just like, you know, breaking windows and looting stores and all, and lighting fires, and they were even, you know, attacking police cars.
Yeah.
And the cops were told to stand down. Like, what?
Yeah,
Really?
That's crazy.
Well, the mayor we had at the time was a real winner, so he was given the orders to stand down, and don't provoke, and don't, you know, carry. Like, really? That's their job, man. Is to protect law and order. So,
well, it's unfortunate too that throughout the country, a lot of people in different areas, they had to. It's kind of vague, but I think it happened here too. But I know it happened across the country where people had to board up their storefront windows, and they still had to write, paint, or whatever black-owned business because folks were just going after.
I think we got to protest to get Arizona better internet.
Okay, Isaac.
I think I froze up.
You froze up. I just said we're going to start a protest to get Arizona better internet because you were all choppy there.
They were censoring you.
Yeah,
they were censoring you there, Coach. You better tone it down, young man.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting wound up.
Yeah, no, it's just unfortunate because it put a lot of people their backs against the wall, whether you agreed with or not. That, you know, it was really unfortunate. It was a rough time, even during the time everything like that was going on in Seattle. At the time, a friend of mine was living in Seattle and was front row spectator.
There you go.
There he goes.
Out again.
Looks like I chopped.
Look like someone's watching you, dude.
Yeah, you better make sure that black Suburban ain't out front.
I'm saying, come on.
They're putting the jammer on you.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Jammer on you, boy. You better watch out.
That's right.
Hey, I have the right to freedom of speech as long as I don't piss off the guys in the black Suburban.
That's right.
So Brian,
you're just lucky, Isaac, that you're not taking the trash out after the show because you might not be here next week.
Right.
You better watch it.
So just so you know, Brian,
him over the head with the rattlesnake.
Yeah. I was talking with the guys from the UD the other day, and I forget how it came up, but I told him about that brake flaring tool. So I sent them the pictures of it. And he was like, wow, that looks really, really cool. I'm like, yes, it is. Get one. Get one.
Yeah. I've used I got one. I've got that, and I've got the hydraulic. And of course I got the old school with the T-bar, and so forth. And the hydraulic one is tits, dude. I mean, but something simple and easy.
But you got to be on a bench. You got to be on on a bench with a vise to use that correctly.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could do it on there. You could do it hand. I mean, the Master Cool one, but again, that one, actually, it was funny because where did I do with that? Because that originally came out like. I mean, I've got like the very first one that was like from 10 years ago, and it's a little different. I had it. It came in a little pouch and everything. I don't know what I did with that. But it was kind of funny how that tool evolved to, having with all the different sizes.
Yeah.
because the early one only had I think 3/16 and quarter and something else. They only had like 3 sizes. It didn't do any of the bubble flare or any of the other stuff.
Right.
And the thing that really irked me on that was I'm missing one piece from it. And I remember because I had sold one and the guy had broke it, or I don't know, something happened. So when I said, I'll order to replace this, but I gave him the one out of mine so that he had right away. And of course now it's obsolete and deleted, and it's like I can't get that one piece. And I'm like, damn it. Of course, the other one, it's a different company. It doesn't fit because the other one had like a T-handle thing to hold it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just a tad different. I don't know what I did with it. I thought it was sitting here. Tell you.
You cleaned up, so you probably moved it.
Well, that's a mistake. We talked about this one time, Ray, about, we're going to make this thing simple. And actually, I came across and I wanted to know, damn it, what did I do with that thing? I sent you the one box, like you could put your brake stuff in or whatever.
Well, I could probably use it for something, but the thing I wanted to use it for, it's too big for. I wanted to put just those the wrenches.
Right, the wrenches.
Heating wrenches.
Oh, because I found the one that I really wanted to send you, and I don't know what
put it in the box.
Well, I don't know what I made.
Now you don't know what you did with it.
Because it was a little smaller.
Yes, definitely. Smaller.
It wasn't this small.
That might be the right size. I will measure the box that the tool came in.
Because the one that I sent you was from a Power Probe case.
Right.
And actually, that's what I have mine in. I have those brake bleeding wrenches, the one with the hose on it.
Right.
And I have my 3 favorite brake spoons.
Okay.
I keep all that in there.
If you want to do a conglomeration of things, I was thinking about just putting that that tool in its own box.
I've learned over the years, or I've had the way my stuff is set up, because you have so many duplicates or doubles. And then I started with like, this is the stuff I use to change the oil on my daughter's Toyota. So it has a Toyota filter, it has the one wrench, it has the, it's just like, and it's together in one case, or my John Deere tractor's the same way. The cup for it.
Yeah.
And the long extension to do that because the filter's up inside, Now,
you know what I did? I did a little variant of that. I have my standard ignition cabinet in the garage, metal cabinet. And what I started doing is I would take the front tab off an oil filter box that had the part number, and I'd write on there what car it was for, then flip it over and write what the oil pan bolt was or any other pertinent, wrenches I needed. And then I got this magnetic tape. So it's a strip of magnet and you peel off the double stick tape on the back, and I'd put it on that tab, and now I can just magnetically stick it to the inside edge of that cabinet. And I have them all down in a row. So now, of course, I had to do the same thing at the shop. I'm putting the same ones over at the shop. So now I know like what tools to grab. I didn't make a separate kit for each one. I just made my own reference.
So I learned that. Well, I started doing that. Like I said, with the tool truck, I did the same thing. It was like, the one, because the oil filter on that's like, this big around, and it's a big strap wrench type thing. And I always found myself, I had to come in, and it was like you said, it's like, is that a 17 or a 19?
Right. Right.
Or a 12 or a 14. And the next thing you know, you're taking out a handful of wrenches.
Right.
So I will admit I'm lucky that I have so many duplicates.
Oh yeah.
Of tools,
sure.
Where I just made my own. I took a case, and it's oil. There's the tools for the doing the oil change on the Toyota or the Volkswagen or the Ford or whatever. And I found I wasn't losing stuff. And I wasn't making a bigger mess trying to dig to find something because it was just all there.
I will send you guys right now the pictures that I'm talking about. What they are is it's the doors are open on the cabinet, so it may be a little. You have to look at it for a second before you figure out exactly what you're looking at. 'Cause it's not the face of the cabinet; it's the inside thickness of the doors. But you'll be able to see the stickers now. Not the stickers, the oil filter. Yeah, so the doors are open, and you're looking at that open edge of the cabinet. I just sent it to both of you guys, so you can. I texted it to you, and it works out great. You take it off because it's got magnet tape. You turn it over, you bring it over to the toolbox, take out what you need, and I even wrote like the torque spec down on some of them. You know, for the filter or whatever. Anything that was pertinent to the oil change. Like if there was a shield you had to take off, what size was that?
Oh yeah.
You always forget that too. And they add up when you have a bunch of cars.
Yeah, they sure do.
Look
at that. You got that Creole, the coil. Yep.
I use that all the time. Love that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's I just have when I buy the filters or whatever, I usually just buy a case. So I have a case sitting on and that's usually. You got the same problem that I do, Ray. You got so many plastic those bins with nuts and bolts and clips and
yeah,
and
dude,
that's just there. I have them downstairs. I got them everywhere.
Yeah,
and you save the stuff.
My dad usually had cans.
Yeah,
like old soup cans, or he'd clean them out and then peel them and then paint them.
Okay.
Yeah. And depending on the color, he'd write on them too.
Back in the day, the thing to do was, and this is like, from my father's era, they would take baby food jars and you would screw the lid to the shelf so you could just unscrew it. But some guys never figured out that you had to use more than one screw or else the lid would turn. You needed two.
I have two different sizes. I use mayonnaise jars and peanut butter, the small peanut butter jars.
That's good.
And I got them under that's how I have. Actually, I even got them in the tool truck. I use them to hold some of the stuff in the tool.
Now, on another note, but kind of related, I just was looking for these yesterday. My wife moved them on me. To get a loaf of bread, there's that, not the twist tie, but it's that plastic.
Yep.
I save those because if you ever have to, like I was just moving around stuff in my workroom, and on the plugs, you put one of those on the plug and you can write what that plug is for.
Right.
You got 8 plugs and you want to unplug one thing, but if you unplug the wrong one, the VCR light's going to start flashing,
Yeah.
So you put that little tag on, you write on what it's for, and now you can find out what plug is what. That's another little trick.
Yeah.
Household
That's
stuff.
a good idea.
I do that for a long time.
I do the same thing, except for my son always loses those.
Well, if he's playing with the wires, but she shouldn't be.
No, I mean he loses. He loses them when they're on the bread.
On the bread, yeah.
He takes them off and then he gets the bread and then he doesn't put it right back on, and then he spins the top, puts it underneath, and sets it down. And like, where's the stupid clip thing? And I don't know, Dad. I have no clue.
It's on my extension cord in the garage. What do you mean?
Yeah, we did that, or those. I've used the not the paper clips, but those notebook binder things. The ones that you flip the two little things up and you squeeze. Shit.
Yeah, no, it's a butterfly clip. Yeah, it's a butterfly clip.
Yeah.
I got one here. I got a bunch of them here somewhere. Like this.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a butterfly clip.
I
also strippers call them nipple clips too, if you want to.
Oh wow. Hey man.
When you're at the wet t-shirt contest.
I'm in the wet t-shirt, you got it.
All right. Not saying how I know that, just I'm saying,
But I've used those because I write on. You can write on them with the Sharpie, and they keep. Especially they don't. Like I said, you can actually clip it on so it doesn't fall off someplace if you need to hold it someplace.
Hey, I gotta say, the picture on this month's Matco calendar, it's a cool picture with the toolbox and the snow globe.
Yeah,
that's a really cool picture.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
They
like it.
That's right. I sent you a calendar. You got it wasn't in the calendar.
This is this year's calendar that I'm looking at.
Oh, you didn't get
22s.
So there wasn't a 23 calendar in your box.
No,
because I haven't gotten them yet, but I got one of the demo, and I thought,
how could you put one in a box if you haven't gotten them yet?
No, well, I haven't. I mean, I'm supposed to. They're supposed to be coming in, but I thought I had. They sent us a demo, and I was like, shit, I can't remember because I got to order this stuff back like in June.
Right.
And I was like, damn, I don't know if I ordered any calendars. And I said, well, I'll send Ray one. He needs one.
I do need one. Yeah, I do definitely need one.
So you got the Ratfink one.
Ratfink calendar?
Yeah.
I don't know. The calendar let's see. This is this year's calendar. Where is it?
Or was that the year before?
I think the year before was Ratfink. Yeah, this one was this was this year's calendar.
Oh, yeah.
This is December.
Yeah.
Toolbox in the snow globe.
Yep. That's
always
right.
On the nice list. Yes,
always.
That's good.
That's pretty cool.
The next frontier. Like when we driving on the clouds now, guy. Like, geez.
Yeah. They've always had that Star Trek, space, Star Wars theme in a lot of their stuff, or
That's all right.
Yeah, I guess.
I usually get calendars with muscle cars, or I've got one from God, I don't know what year. Oh hell, it's 2015, but it's still stuck on June because it's got the Shelby Daytona coupe on it. So I couldn't change it. I don't even know what else is. I mean, it's from 2015. I don't even know what else is on there. But
doesn't matter.
I got to that car and I was like, yeah, forget the rest of the year. But otherwise, when we go look at calendars, if I look at the car ones, it's got to have the right cars. If it don't have the right cars, I can't get it. And then the other thing, and then at that point, I'll tell my wife, get whatever. But sometimes she'll pop out with an Arizona calendar, like the Arizona scenery.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to. We see that all the time.
Can we do like New Jersey scenery?
Yeah, we see it all the time. I can go outside and see it.
Right.
So
I always get a calendar. My wife loves getting one for Christmas because I keep it on the door, and I make it like a diary. And I've had cat calendars and car calendars. My only the only thing I insist on is the boxes have to be big enough
yeah,
right in, yeah. Because then what I do is, here's my secret: on the back of my bedroom door, I have the last 4 years of calendars up there. And every morning after I take a shower, I come in the bedroom and I look at the last 4 years on the day that we're at. And then I'll see like, hey, you know what we did 4 years ago today? Or I might find like something. Hey, Brian, you know what you did a year ago today? Yeah, this is when you crashed into your daughter's car. See, I'll remind you next year because I have it on my calendar now.
Oh, you're bad, right?
I've done this with my friends for years. And it takes a couple of years and they'll finally say, hey, how do you always remember this stuff? How do you know this? I can't remember. I'm like, and then I was like, listen, dude, you're a good friend of mine. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I don't remember it. I got it on my calendar. On your calendar, but your calendar's no, dude. I keep 4 years of calendars backed up, and I look at them every day. So now January, the last 4 years ago, goes away, and it just repeats. And I keep all of those in the closet, so I have a stack of calendars going back to the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I told my kids know it. So like they know, like they would like, who's gonna get Dad's calendars when he dies? Because it's got like, it's like a diary of what happened.
Right.
It's like awesome. Your calendars are like Brian's dad's field books.
Field report,
right. Field reports.
in a lesser way. That's right.
That's right.
And I told him, I said, well, a lot of this stuff you won't know because I made the note for myself, not for you.
Yeah.
And even my wife will look at him sometimes like, well, who the hell is that? He's like, nah, you don't know him. It's not, the note's not for you. It's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is that, like I said, that's one of those things that, like you said, you got to get in that habit, and then
I do it every day,
and then it grows. And like I said, it's funny. I get in those writing spells or the journal spell. Like I said, off and on, and I always kick myself in the ass when I stop writing because it's always fun to go back and look at that, and like I said, to see where you were at that moment or what was going on or whatever you did, and
very true.
And for me, like I said, I catch myself, I'll do that in a minute. I don't, like you said, you think, you don't have the time.
Yeah, you got to get up and do it because
you just got to do it. There's really the time. You just like, I'll do that in a minute.
I've done that too, where I kind of blew it off, and then the next day you forget about it, but 2 days later you remember, like, oh, I was supposed to write something. What was I going to write? Oh shit! And now sometimes you can, most times you don't remember it.
Yeah,
you're screwed.
Yeah, so that's but.
I gotta find the day you can do the implant, just to take one of these and go and stick it in your head, just like the old memory stick, and just
yeah. Well, we're older units. It might be a floppy disk.
Isn't that what Elon Musk is working on? His something link, his CenturyLink.
Yep, there you go. Yep.
Yeah. I got the 5 1/4 too.
Yeah, I remember those.
I got those.
Yeah, I remember those
over there.
I don't know. I didn't know what to do with. I just threw them. I finally threw them away. I had a whole stack of them, and I was like, I don't even know if I have anything that could read this.
You probably don't,
or I don't even know what. And I chucked them all.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, dude, I'm serious. I know it doesn't look like a lot at the moment, but man, I have done so much cleaning.
I believe it. No, I can, I believe it because I'm doing the same thing. And I know every day I'm doing a little bit and I'm making little differences, but you got to keep going forward. Now, my neighbor across the street is moving this month down to Florida. And I've been watching him out in that garage every day because his garage faces my house. And I see him and I was over there talking to him too. And it's like, well, his wife wants to keep this or that. And he just shuffles things around. And then every day there's like a little bit more out in the garbage. And now it's getting close. He's going to be leaving in a week or two. So he's throwing more stuff out. You know, it's like the stuff, and I kept telling myself, like, I'm laughing, like, all that stuff, every previous time you did this, you kept it.
Yeah.
Now it made its way out because you just couldn't do it. And it's like, that's what you got to get over, the point of like just get rid of it. Like I was cleaning that toolbox out and I'm finding little, tools and things. I found a pair of scissors. I'm like, wow, I've had these since I think they were in the house when I was a kid, and now I inherited them. And they didn't feel like really perfectly smooth. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can clean them with some alcohol, go in there and hone the edges. And, and I'm looking, like one of the blades was bent a little. And I was like, I'll just chuck them. And then I'm looking again at see if I could tighten the screw.
Yeah.
I didn't have a screwdriver that would fit, believe it or not. And then I look and it said Germany on it. I'm like, wow, these are German scissors. So these are worth saving.
Yeah.
And then I took them and I just threw them in the garbage. I was like, fuck you. You're gone. I'm not gonna clean, adjust, and hone these scissors. I got 2 more pair of fucking what's the other scissors? The real like these. I'm like, I got 2 pair of sitting right there. These are sitting on my desk here. I was like, fuck you, Germany. You're gone. You're out. You're exiled. But that's what you got to do.
No, it's like I said, and like I was telling you about the brake tool or whatever, the brake line tool. That's what I mean. I know that I have the problem of getting sidetracked because it's like I clean up. I'm cleaning over here and I find a box of tools that I went to work on something. And like I said, just because I have so much of doubles and triples of stuff, I never knew it was missing, and it's like, okay, let me go put this back in the box. And of course you open the drawer up and then of course you're trying to make room to make that stuff fit. And you're like, man, and that's when I said, I've got like 3 of those inline brake line. I got the very first one, and then I got the one that when they came out with only, I think it was the first one. I think the very first one was only 3/16. I have that one. It came in a small pouch, and then they had the 3-piece, and then they had the one with the, how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
like 7
or 8 or whatever.
3/16 when you leave that in your car in case you get stuck on the road. You make a brake line on the side of the road.
And won't be the first time.
I know.
And, but like I said, you just go on. I mean, I'll take a picture tomorrow. I went around and I went out to the shed. I have, 2 sheds. I went out to the shed and I'm digging around in the old Audi and I'm digging around. You should see my screwdriver drawer now. I have found every effing screwdriver that's been,
that's cool.
that I had in the kitchen, cabinet, in the drawer, there was like 3 of them there and 2 over here. I've got more screwdrivers in my one drawer now that have taken over the whole drawer.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking, huh?
More than you have on the tool truck.
Yeah. And I'm like, maybe I need to have my $10 bucket cell, fill up a 5-gallon bucket and walk around and, hey, $10 for any screwdriver.
There you go.
And, I'm like, do I need this many screwdrivers?
No, that's right. You're right. I know.
So, but it's just crazy. Like I said, you find stuff, and then of course, like I said, I get a little sidetracked, and next thing you know, I'm doing that. But so much stuff. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I'm. If you could see the view I'm looking at now, you would say, "Yeah, okay, touche."
And I took. I had, the metal nut bolt bin.
Yeah.
I have one of those. And actually, in one of my knee-off cabinets, I had all of my sanding discs and the pads.
Yeah.
Cooked the little cookies and all that stuff.
Pads, yeah.
And I had those all crammed, piled in. And on one of my parts, my nuts and bolts bin, because I switched over to the metal boxes with the pockets, the ones like
I have those in the garage. Yeah.
The 4-drawer, metal bins.
Yep.
I did a favor for the Worth guy. He needed 255 gallons.
I remember you saying that a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. He needed 255 gallon drums moved, and he didn't have a lift gate.
Right.
And I moved it, and he asked me what I wanted, and I told him I wanted those metal bins.
Those are very good. Yeah.
So I moved all my bolts over to those.
You know what's so good about that too? Like I have one of those drawers, one of those cabinets is nothing but my brass fittings.
Yeah.
And when I was working on Mike Chevelle at the shop, restoring the Chevelle,
you just had to pick that bin up and
I took the whole thing and I just stuck it into one of the frames that they had there. I took one of their drawers out, shoved it on top, and sent it. And I just worked at it because I used it for like a couple months there.
Yeah.
And I remember like, you know what? I got to bring this back home because I'm going to need it here.
Yeah. No. Actually, I need next time I see them, I want to, because like I said, I filled those up, but the nut and bolt bin, the metal thing that I put all my sandpapers in, the roll lock disc and all that stuff. Man, I tell you. It really takes a lot out of you.
I know. It does.
But just trying to get it ready. I mean, like I said, I know, like I said, I not straying from, getting the stuff cleaned up around it, but it's also stuff that needs to be done. So when you're working on the car, finding the stuff.
Then I go into the philosophical side and say, okay, I have all this stuff. It's organized in these things. When am I going to use it? Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff like the roll locks you use because for gaskets, but a lot of the stuff I have, it's you don't use it, and maybe it's like in that one time where you need something and you could go root around and find it, or you could drive to Ace and buy it.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, it's still like even now I'm organizing this other workroom down in the basement. And I'm doing all this work and saying, if I'm moving out of here, like, what am I doing? Like, if this isn't going to be permanent, like, what am I said, well, it'll make it easier when I move because things will be organized. And then my neighbor's telling me, like, when he was looking to get a truck, he was going to rent a truck and drive his stuff down to Florida. But he needed, for like a 28-foot truck, it was going to cost him $4,000.
Wow.
Now he would have to load it, drive down, gas, tolls, stay overnight somewhere, then unload it, and then get a plane and fly home. So all of that cost. He found a mover here that would charge him $3,200.
Wow.
And the guy said it's 3,000 pounds or like 20 boxes. So they sent the furniture down. So I was telling my wife today, I said, well, I got well over 3,000 pounds, and 20 boxes is just like a start.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, maybe I better drive the truck down myself. I don't know.
Yeah. You'll have to give me the dimensions, and we'll put a UPS sticker on it.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah. So, but and it's funny.
I think I'm going to go to UPS tomorrow because the post office keeps giving me crap about sending you stuff. They don't like the stuff I send you.
Really?
Well, last time I sent the Trizoil, I told them it was cologne. You can't send cologne; it's got alcohol.
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Who was it that told me? They said, who was it that made? Someone told me you should have said it was holy water.
Yeah, holy water.
I'm like, wow! Like, how do you turn that down? I'm a seminary student. This is holy water that's going back to my my pontiff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know. That's a good idea.
Well, guys.
Yeah, I know. It's time to go pick the refrigerator clean again. I know.
Yeah, I know. There's not much in there.
I've got kielbasa and cabbage soup.
Oh, my goodness. That sounds great. With a little hot sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, cabbage soup. All right.
Yeah. Potato stew in it.
I'm going to have some pepper jack cheese with the cat. I'll give the cat turkey, and I'll have the pepper jack cheese.
I might have a burrito on the side.
Oh, nice. Well, it's still early by you yet.
Yeah.
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 I don't. Yeah, we were a little late this week.
Yeah. All right.
Well.
So what do we say to the guys waiting for me to take the garbage out? Who's
You can stop by and say hi, but that's about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So Lewis. So who was that?
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna take us out, but you got to do your takeout.
Oh, well, yeah. Go on. What's you take us out? Tell us.
You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. But please, whatever you do, don't follow us home.
Exactly. So for Lewis Lee, who's out of PRI, and OG detailer Claude Harris, who's soon to be on Motor Mouth Radio, probably maybe not till the new year, because I got a couple guests lined up. And of course, Macro Man Brian taking up the wing side as always, doing a good job of it. And Coach Isaac, of course, always hanging and rounding out the triad. I'm Ray Guarino from Motor Mouth Radio, and we're gonna say, see ya. We'll be back next week. And
next
then,
week it is. You guys be safe.
Tom Sarmento and Dukes of Hazzard. His book is out. We're talking to him on Sunday on Motor Mouth Radio. So
oh yeah,
I get to play the country music again. So
a little wailing.
Yeah, that'll.
I'll give him his wailing intro. Yeah, I like Waylon Jennings. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Take it easy. Be safe.
Yeah.